Sports Review.
Crowd of about 35,000 fans expected here in East Rutherford, New Jersey. There's James Garvey. He is your referee for today's football game. And they will use a special U.S. Olympic coin, which will be tossed at major NCAA college football games during the 83-84 season. And that is the coin that is being used today. It will also be awarded to the MVP or team captain. The U.S. Treasury Department is minting gold and silver Olympic coins to commemorate the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. And the proceeds from the sale of these coins go to train and house the nation's amateur athletes and stage the Olympics. So a little extra touch here, Giant Stadium, for all the games played at this facility during the 1983 football season. James Garvey, the referee, out talking to the captains from both teams for today's football game. For Rutgers, Jim Dumont and John Owens. For Penn State, Mark Robinson, Ron Heller, Kenny Jackson, and Scott Radisek. Well, it's not raining right now, but rain is expected. Temperature 65 degrees, humidity, no cloud of mine is very, very light. It's not much of a factor in the rain later in the day. This series began way back in 1918, and Penn State has now won 10 games in a row. Last year, Penn State was victorious over Rutgers 49-14. Rutgers' only victory way back in 1918. They played here once before at Giant Stadium. That was back in 1977, and Penn State was victorious. Rutgers comes in 1-2. The opening day victory over Connecticut. Lost here at Giant Stadium to Boston College by 20 last week. Played an exceptional second half, but still lost to Syracuse 17-13. The Nittany Lions of Penn State, they come in with a record of 1-3, but they lost to number 1 Nebraska and number 3 Iowa so far this year. The game against Cincinnati, a game coach Joe Paterno felt that his club could have won and should have won, but he felt he did not do a good job of preparing his club. And last week, the win over Temple, not indicative of the way they dominated the football game.
And Joe Paterno, after that game against Cincinnati, made several changes, about 3 or 4 changes on his defensive unit and on his offense, mostly moving people around.
Jim Garvey is the referee. The umpire Carl Schwab, line Albert Baker, field judge Walter Allencheck, ball bank, the line judge, back judges Fred DiFilippo, and the clock operator Frank Poulis. And that gentleman, one of the most successful coaches in all of college football, Joe Paterno, led the club to the victory last year in the Sugar Bowl and the national championship. Tom Angstad of Rutgers set to kick off. The junior from Annandale, New Jersey, is having an outstanding season. He was a walk-on originally and has blossomed into an outstanding kicker.
Well, Rutgers would like to pick up right where they left off in that second half last week against Syracuse. This is the place to start on the kickoff coverage.
Peter Nichols is back deep along with Kevin Bow, and this football game is underway. Kevin Bow has it at the 5-yard line. Bow is across the 20 and up to the 28-yard line, and that's where the Nittany Lions will put it in play, 1st and 10. Here's the Penn State offensive motion. Penn State, 28-yard line. A multiple offense team. They start from the I formation, then they break off with number 42, DJ Dozier, going in the wing position. Dozier gets the call on 1st down. Dozier picks up 5 to the left side, chased out of bounds by Jim Dumont. Second and 3, the handoff to Tony Mumford, and Mumford just shy of a 1st down, trying the left side behind Ron Heller, who is a senior co-captain from Farmingdale, New York. Jim Dumont in on the tackle with some help from Mercer Hedgeman. It'll be third down and short. There's 99. That's Lionel Washington, who played last week after knee surgery. He's back playing with the Scarlet Knights, led the team in sacks last year, had one a week ago. Third down and less than a yard for the Nittany Lions of Penn State. Kenny Jackson comes wide to the right. The rest of the club is tight. Two tight ends. Out of the I formation, Mumford gets the call, has a first down, and Mumford at the Rutgers territory. He's at the 30 and chased down by Butch Young at the 18-yard line. Tony Mumford, the junior from Overbrook High School in Lindenwold, New Jersey, with big yardage.
A short yardage situation for Rutgers, playing their linebackers tight, sending the linebackers. Of course, when the running back Dozier gets through that line, there's nobody to stop him. As you see, linebackers, Jim Dumont got caught in the middle, and he was all alone once he got through the line of scrimmage. That was Tony Mumford, number 12 for Penn State. And Butch Young finally brings him down.
Mumford with 145 yards rushing coming into today's football game gives the Lions a first and 10 at the Rutgers 19-yard line. It's to DJ Dozier, spins away from one man, gets a yard on the play. Billy Houston came up from his free safety position to make the tackle.
Penn State pretty much runs from tackle to tackle. A lot of plays right up the middle. They use some traps. Rarely will pull their offensive guards to the outside. Like most teams that run primarily from the I formation, when they do go to the outside, it is the back pretty much on his own.
Second down and 9. Wide to the right, Kevin Bow. Kenny Jackson wide left. Doug Strang will put it up for the first time today. Looking for Kenny Jackson, incomplete. Back in coverage, number 26, Carl Howard. It will bring up a third and 9 for Penn State.
Dan Errico, pretty good coverage on the play. Was expecting help from the inside, which he did receive from the safety Bill Houston on the play. Just a little bit overthrown.
Kenny Jackson, perhaps the premier flanker in the country. Doug Strang on the season, 5 touchdown passes. Has thrown only 2 interceptions. But he has a third and 9 at the Rutgers 19. Bow wide right, Jackson wide left. Strang to throw, has time, plenty of time. Drops it off to number 42, DJ Dozier. And Dozier has a first down at the Rutgers 6-yard line. Jim Dumont, Bob Dumont in on the tackles for Rutgers.
Now this is what happens when a quarterback gets too much time to throw the football. Rutgers was not generating a pass rush. Strang was able to sit in that pocket, and he's shown considerable poise and confidence in his 2 starts this year. Could not find anyone downfield, and eventually dumped it off to Dozier, who was all alone in the middle.
First and goal, Penn State, Rutgers 7-yard line. Peter Nichols is alone set back behind Doug Strang. Penn State has taken the opening kickoff and marched down the field. Here's Nichols straight ahead. He's at the 3-yard line, bounces close to the goal. Harold Young made the hit. Matt Bachman in there to help out. Close to the goal line at the 1.
Key block by number 63, Todd Moles, the left offensive guard for Penn State. You'll watch him pull out now. There comes 63 blocking on Lionel Washington. That was the key block, and you see the running back Dozier breaks for good yardage right up the middle. They will trap you.
Butch Young comes out. Rutgers goes with an extra linebacker. Goal to go, Penn State. Second down and goal at the 1. 3 backs in the backfield. Hand off to Tony Mumford. Mumford straight up the middle. And he is shy of the goal line. Hit was made by Billy Houston and Bob Dumont.
Penn State will flip-flop their offensive line. Stand short, number 69 and 54, Dick McGinnis, the strong side. This time he's running to the strong side. Good coverage, good defense by Rutgers. Playing tight, defensive linemen coming in low, forcing the offensive linemen down, allowing the linebackers to come up over the top and stop the running back short of a touchdown.
Third and goal at the 1. Strang hands off to Dozier. He's in for a touchdown. DJ Dozier goes right up the middle behind Nick Hayden, Todd Moles, and Dick McGinnis, and Penn State has struck first.
Now that is the short side of their offensive line, or the weak side, as you will. It looks to me like Dozier doesn't have to go over the top. You see he's prepared to make that leap, but he has clear sailing behind the lead blocker, Tony Mumford, the fullback. That was Skeeter Nichols actually in there now, number 24, and he just follows him over the goal line. Did not have to go over the top.
Nick Cacciatano on for the point after touchdown. Ball plays down. Kick is perfect. And Penn State takes the ball, goes the length of the football field, up on the scoreboard first. They lead 7-0 with 11 minutes and 34 seconds left in this first quarter of play.
Well, they drove 73 yards in 9 plays. It took 3 minutes and 21 seconds. And, of course, it was that big run by Dozier that really put Rutgers in a hole. I'm sorry, by Mumford.
So Penn State, which had trouble scoring in their first 2 games, scored only 6 against Nebraska, 3 against Cincinnati, came back against Iowa with 34, 23 against Temple, and here they score in their first offensive possession against Rutgers.
Well, we mentioned at the start of the game that Joe Paterno, coming off the field on Monday, said this was the first time that he looked around and he felt like he had a big-time football team leaving the field. And certainly when you look at this Penn State team, they don't have quite the caliber of players that they had last year. You can't lose people like Blackledge and Warner and still hope to maintain the same type of football team. But certainly they have the depth. They have some pretty good experience, and they're about ready to bust out.
Sam, they're also a very young team. A matter of fact, they feature 18 redshirt freshmen who couldn't crack the lineup last year, hence they waited for this season.
Yeah, Paterno also said he wished that he had started many of those freshmen right from the inception, and they'd be ready to play now.
Greg Montgomery's kick is short. It's handled by Lenny Beleza. Beleza up to the 25 to the 28-yard line, and Rutgers will start from the 28, first and 10. 11:29 left in the first quarter of play. Penn State on top of Rutgers 7-0. 73 yards in 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Dozier scores with a 1. Rutgers gets the ball from their own 28-yard line, first and 10. Eric Hochberg starts the quarterback for Rutgers. Back to pass at first down, has a lot of time going long for Andrew Baker, and it's incomplete. Back in coverage was Mike Zordich of Youngstown, Ohio. Let's check the Rutgers offensive unit. Penalty on the play. Defense. Offside call against Penn State. Rutgers accepts the penalty. It will be first down and 5.
I believe it was John Walter, number 86, that went offside for Penn State.
First and 5, Scarlet Knights. Twins to the right side of the field. Baker slot, Pendergraft wide. Hooper and Williams in the backfield. Hochberg hands off to Albert Smith, and Smith gets up to the 38-yard line. So quickly Albert Smith in to replace Dwayne Hooper.
Penn State flip-flops the defensive line as they do their offensive line. John Walter is the strong side defensive end. Joe Hines the strong side tackle. Linebackers will alternate between a 4-4 or a 4-3. The hero, of course, is Terry Hamilton. He plays either outside linebacker or strong safety. Varies his position. Rutgers will have to keep an eye on him. The rest of the secondary, pretty good. Mike Zordich, probably the outstanding player in that secondary, although Mark Robinson isn't bad.
Rutgers with a first and 10 at the 37-yard line. So the Scarlet Knights get a 5-yard penalty and then come back with Albert Smith. And Rutgers with excellent field position. 11:09 left first quarter, 7-0 Penn State. Pendergraft to the left, Baker to the right. Hochberg calling signals on first down. Albert Smith straight up the middle, 3 or 4 yards on the play. Scott Radisick came up to make the tackle. Radisick, first-team academic All-American last year, has not been off to a great start so far this season, but they're expecting good things from the 6'3 senior from Pittsburgh.
In fact, the other inside linebacker, Don Graham, just a freshman, has outplayed Radisick to this point in the season.
Second down, 6 for Rutgers from the 41. Hochberg with plenty of time. Throws complete to Smith. Smith breaks the tackle, has a first down at the Penn State territory. 47-yard line of the Nittany Lions, and Rutgers on the move.
You often hear people talk about the ability of a running back to accelerate and find his hole. Balance is also important. Now watch how Hochberg finds Smith, and then watch Smith stay on his feet, although he gets a good jolt here. Maintains that balance. That was quite an act right there, and he gets the first down. Very important first down for Rutgers.
Smith stays in the football game. He's behind Vernon Williams at the 47 of Penn State. 1st and 10, Scarlet Knights. Smith stopped at the line of scrimmage. Great individual play by Joe Hines, 6'2 and a half, 260 pounds, from Cleveland, Ohio, and he is considered their fastest lineman.
He's the strong side tackle, and Don Graham, that freshman inside linebacker, also in on the play. And of course you're looking at Frank Burns for Rutgers, and there's Ted Cottrell, the defensive coordinator for Rutgers, going over defensive plans with his troops.
2nd down, 10. Baker wide left, Pendergrass short side of the field. Hochberg has time. Steps in the pocket, hits Baker for a first down. Baker to the 30. Wrestled down at the 26-yard line. Harry Hamilton, the hero, made the tackle with some help from Mike Zordich. So Rutgers continues to move down the field.
Now watch the pass rush. They're sending 4 people. They're sending number 86, John Walter, and also number 41 coming on the play. One of those linebackers. Good pass protection on the part of that Rutgers offensive line, and of course that sets up the play, giving Andrews time to break over the middle and Hochberg time to find him.
1st and 10, 27-yard line of Penn State. Hand off to Smith, big hole. Albert has a first down, or very close to a first down at the 17-yard line. At the bottom of that pile was Darryl Giles, who made the tackle for the Nittany Lions.
Okay, Rutgers has been able to move the football. Watch the good blocking up front. There's the key block, I would say, by Joe DiGilio. Outstanding job in blocking Greg Gattuso, that senior defensive tackle. That was the key block on the play. Joe DiGilio, Rutgers' best offensive lineman, most consistent offensive lineman this season.
4 first downs in this drive for Rutgers. They have a 1st and 10 at the 16-yard line of Penn State. Out of the I formation. Hochberg runs the option, pitches back to Smith. Smith cuts inside Pendergrass to the 13-yard line. Hit was made by Giles and Mark Robinson. They've had some problems, has Penn State, in their secondary. Joe Paterno last week made 3 or 4 major changes.
And that was one of the problems, turning that outside play back inside. That's why he moved Mike Zordich, who was an outside linebacker earlier in the year. He moved him to his right cornerback position, moved safety Mark Robinson over to the other side, the other cornerback position, turn in those sweeps, those outside plays.
2nd down and 6. Hochberg hands to Smith. Smith smothered at the line of scrimmage. Big hit made by Rogers Alexander. Also in on the play was Carmen Maciento, and it will bring up a 3rd down and long for Rutgers. The ball at the 16-yard line.
Good defensive charge by Penn State. Really, the running back had no room to maneuver and no place to go.
Penn State leads 7-0, 7:42 to go. First quarter of play. Penn State's at the opening kickoff, marched for a touchdown. Rutgers has come right back down the field, but they have a crucial 3rd and 8. Ball at the 16-yard line. Andrew Baker comes in motion. Hochberg back to throw, has plenty of time. Throws for Baker, incomplete. Closest man to the football was Darryl Giles, free safety for Penn State. And Rutgers with 4th and 8 will bring on Tom Angstadt to try a field goal.
Penn State lists its defense as having 4 defensive linemen and either 3 or 4 linebackers, depending upon where that hero, Harry Hamilton, plays. But in many instances, they're really in an odd front, with one of the defensive tackles lining up head-on the offensive center. It has been Greg Gattuso lining up on offensive center Joe DiGilio for Rutgers.
We have a penalty called against Rutgers, ineligible receiver downfield.
Of course, Rutgers, let's see the call.
That'll be a loss of down also, Sam, so it brings up 4th down. And Rutgers' field goal attempt now will be from 28, which is 38 yards overall instead of perhaps 28. That's a big difference.
As it has, penalties have hurt Rutgers throughout the season. Had quite a few last week, and of course turnovers at one time or another have also hurt them, especially against Boston College.
Keith Hudak will hold. Angstadt is 6 for 7 on the season. This will be a 38-yard attempt. Ball is placed down. The kick is up. Plenty of distance. It's perfect. Tom Angstad now 7 for 8 on the season. And Rutgers on the scoreboard with 7:17 left in the first quarter. Penn State leading the Scarlet Knights by a score of 7-3. Moved the ball very well down the football field. Do settle for a field goal by Tom Angstad, but Rutgers on the scoreboard. They trail 7-3 in this football game with 7:17 left in the first quarter of play.
Well, Rutgers has been able to move the football on offense throughout the season. Coming into today's game, they had averaged 386 yards of total offense. And that's fairly impressive. Statistics can be somewhat misleading, especially when you have a disparity in competition when you go from the University of Connecticut to Penn State and West Virginia, but they have moved the ball well against all of their opponents.
Angstad will kick off. Peter Nichols back deep along with Bow. Peter Nichols has it at the 9. He's to the 15. Peter Nichols to the 24-yard line. That's where the Nittany Lions will start first and 10. Mercer Hedgeman down on the play for Rutgers. He is amazing on the special team. Mercer Hedgeman, who starts at outside linebacker, perhaps takes his greatest pride in his ability to play and play hard on the special team.
Yeah, even last week in the loss to Syracuse, Rutgers won the statistical battle. They had more yardage, total yardage, than Syracuse.
Strang leads out the Lions, first and 10, 24-yard line. Lone setback is Tony Mumford. Mumford gets the call. He is hit hard by Jim Dumont. Dumont stopped Mumford dead in his tracks, and the All-American from Levittown, Pennsylvania, continues to excel.
Yeah, I'm sure that he has thought about the Penn State linebackers that have, done very well in pro football in the past. Jack Ham, Ralph Baker, Greg Puddle. And let's watch Jim Dumont now, who is in that class, coming right in, putting the head right down the middle. If you want to learn how to tackle, that's the way you tackle. Just put that shoulder and head right in the middle of the man.
On second down and 9, Strang is in trouble and goes down. Bob Dumont came from the right end. The flag is down on the play, but Strang was dropped for a big loss back to the 17-yard line.
When you're going against a team with outstanding personnel, and I believe that Rutgers does consider Penn State as one of those teams. Let's see if we can hear this call. I guess he's not giving us a call. He's just motioning. But anyway, you might have to gamble a little bit, or certainly change up, or in your offensive and defensive game plan, do something somewhat unusual. Bob Dumont, who doesn't normally blitz. Well, I can't hear him. I wonder if the folks at home are. Okay, then I shall be quiet next time. Anyway, they sent Bob Dumont his work.
There's a look at Rutgers scoring drive. It was 52 yards in 4 minutes and 19 seconds. Tom Angstad converted a field goal from 34 yards. Illegal use of the hands charged against Penn State. It will be third down and 16 to go from the 17-yard line. Strang in trouble. Cardilla, he breaks away from one man, fires across the middle, incomplete. Intended for Kevin Bow, but Jeff Cardilla came out of nowhere to put tremendous pressure on Doug Strang, and Penn State will have to punt on fourth down.
Once again, Rutgers sending 5 people. Bob Dumont once again coming from the outside. The 2 tackles and 2 ends also coming on the play. Normally they drop Bob Dumont back. Strang gets a little bit of impatience in the middle there, and good rush by Rutgers, which forced him out of the pocket.
George Reynolds back in punt formation for the Nittany Lions. Back deep, James Shedneck for Rutgers. Reynolds hits a beauty. Shedneck waits for the ball at his own 33. And Shedneck goes down almost immediately. Number 92, Mark Fruin, in on the tackle. 7-3 Penn State leads from Giant Stadium. This is Rutgers football on Madison Square Garden Cablevision. Is held. They take over from their own 34, first and 10, trailing 7-3 in the ball game. Eric Hochberg in there at quarterback. Albert Smith is the tailback. And flags are down on the play. Joe Hines and Greg Gattuso both look a little over anxious for Penn State. And Jim Garvey will give us the call.
Perhaps it's something in the call of the quarterback, because Penn State went offsides on the first series of downs for Rutgers.
Illegal procedure called against Rutgers. Dead ball foul. They'll mark 5 yards off. It will be 1st and 15. Eric Hochberg, who got the starting assignment last week against Syracuse, finished the ball game 15 of 22. He earned the starting role by throwing 27 passes and 43 attempts against Boston College here at Giant Stadium 2 weeks ago. Hochberg from State College, Pennsylvania. There are his stats in 1983. 1st and 15. Baker goes in motion. Hochberg hands off to Albert Smith. Straight up the middle. Smith gets 2 or 3 yards.
Hochberg also had a good day last week against Syracuse, completing 15 of 22 passes for 153 yards. He's shown a lot of poise and confidence sitting in the pocket.
Well, his father is the head of sports medicine at Penn State University, and Hochberg almost considered going to Penn State. A matter of fact, he helped repaint Beaver Stadium a couple years ago. But he's here at Rutgers. It's very much a family affair in the Hochberg household today. 2nd and 11. Baker goes in motion. Hochberg loses the football, and Penn State has it. Steve Sefter fell on the ball, a Rutgers miscue, and Penn State with an opportunity to capitalize at the Scarlet Knights 30-yard line.
I believe number 41, Steve Sefter, falls on the football, but obviously you can't afford to make mistakes like this. It might have been the left guard, Clement Udovich, that knocked the ball out of Hochberg's hands. I believe that happened last week up in Syracuse. Hochberg perhaps not pulling that ball and not moving out of position as soon as he gets the snap from center, delaying a little bit. The offensive guard should not be able to interfere with the quarterback.
1st and 10, Nittany Lions, Rutgers 30-yard line, wide left, Kenny Jackson. Handoff goes to DJ Dozier. Dozier, 1st down, Rutgers 14-yard line, carrying 2 or 3 players with him. The freshman from Virginia Beach, Virginia, 2 consecutive 100-yard games.
Perhaps some overreaction on the part of the linebackers now. There's Jim Dumont. Takes on the offensive man. Does not do a good job there. Actually a good block by that offensive lineman. And once the running back gets into the secondary, no linebackers to bring him down until he gets to the deep secondary and the safeties.
Pretty good block by Todd Moles. Penn State 1st and 10, Rutgers 13. Here's Dozier again. Dozier slips away from a couple of people, gets down to the 9-yard line. Billy Houston and Randy Hannes in on the tackle for Rutgers.
Offensive line for Penn State is big. Played well last week. They're coming on. Rutgers is going to have to dig in and buckle their chin straps.
Penn State, national champions, won it all last year, defeating Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Finished number 1 in the UPI poll, number 1 in the AP poll. 2nd down and 6 from the 10. Long count this time. Hand off to Skeeter Nichols. Nichols twists and turns, and he's close to a 1st down. Tackle made by Jim Dumont. Ball inside the 5-yard line. Penn State continues to move.
Watch number 63, Todd Moles, pull out for Penn State and get the key block on Lionel Washington. Well, you didn't quite see it, but that was the key block. Also not a bad job by Stan Short, that short tackle. Name is Stan Short, but Penn State calls in the short tackle or the weak side tackle. He lines up opposite the tight end.
3rd and inches. Penn State. Ball inside the Rutgers 5. Hand off. Dozier. He has a 1st down, and Penn State will get 4 cracks now to put the ball into the end zone. They lead 7-3. 3:28 in a very quick moving 1st quarter of play.
Dozier, a north and south type runner, good acceleration, runs pretty much toward the goal line, doesn't cut exceptionally well. Of course, we haven't seen that much of him. He's just a freshman, but had a good day last week and certainly the week before that. As Bruce indicated, the first freshman running back at Penn State to have back-to-back 100-yard days. Had a 57-yarder against Temple last week.
Well, I was a little bit ahead of the game. It is 4th down and inches. They did not get a 1st down. So Penn State now with 4th and inches at the 4-yard line, and looks like the Lions are going to go for it. 3:19, 1st quarter. Penn State leads 7-3.
This is where Rutgers has failed in the past in these short yardage situations. Twice last week, they couldn't do it.
Strang straight up the middle, and I don't know. Bill Houston was there to meet Doug Strang. And And this partisan crowd at Giant Stadium roaring their approval.
Bill Houston, the safety, weak side safety for Rutgers. They had everybody up there. Watch the defensive linemen charging into the gaps, bringing down the offensive linemen. And, of course, there's Houston coming over the top to grab the quarterback's strength. Let's see if he gets it. He does, I believe.
First down. First down, Penn State at the 3. And now, Sam, they'll have 4 cracks to go in.
Now Rutgers has its back to the wall. Because in that situation, it's really where they mark the football. Very tough call for the officials.
First and goal, Penn State at the 3-yard line. Full house backfield. Mumford, Peter Nichols, DJ Dozier. Movement on the left side of the Rutgers line.
He was drawn off sides. The offensive guard, I believe, Todd Moles, moved, drawing them off.
That's what the call is, Sam. 5 yards against Penn State. And 5 yards when you're that close to the goal line.
Yes.
A big 5.
It's not the number of penalties, it's when they occur. That hurts Penn State, or it may hurt them.
So it is now first and goal at the 8. Dozier, Nichols, Mumford. All 3 still in the backfield behind Strang. 2 tight ends for Penn State. Long count. Pitch back. Dozier. Dozier to the 6-yard line, and that's all. Joe Corbett came up to make the hit for Rutgers from his strong safety position.
In this situation, Rutgers has just about everybody playing run. As you can see, the defensive backs, Corbin, coming up very fast to make that tackle. I think it would behoove Penn State to perhaps put it in the air.
Well, they bring their wide receivers back in the ball game, and Kenny Jackson and Kevin Bow. Extra tight end goes off the field. Back to 2 running backs. Second down and goal. Penn State at the 7. Bang. Sprints to his right. Looking, throws, touchdown. Kevin Bow all alone in the end zone. And the Nittany Lions now lead 13-3.
Watch the cornerback for Rutgers as the quarterback rolls out, rolls to his right. You see Jim Dumont now does not back into coverage. He's trying to keep contain on the quarterback, and it was Carl Howard who just lost track of Kevin Bow. Bow was all alone when he caught the football. Howard should have been on him. Howard was looking at Strang rolling out, was not certain whether he was going to run with the football.
Ganchitano adds the point after touchdown, and Penn State leads 14-3. They capitalized on the Rutgers fumble at the Scarlet Knights 30-yard line and are able to march in for the touchdown with Strang hitting Kevin Bow for the final 7. 14-3 Nittany Lions. And Sam, one thing Rutgers has said they didn't want to do against a team like Penn State was fall behind early.
You can't fall behind early, and obviously you can't make mistakes. You can't turn over the football as they did on that fumble, and you can't have penalties. This is what has hurt Rutgers in the past, and certainly not something they want to do against a powerhouse. Despite that record, this is still a very good football team. You don't go from national champions to nothing in 1 year.
There's a look at Greg Montgomery, who does the kicking off, although Nick Ganchitano handles the extra point, and field goal short.
Penn State traveled 29 yards in 7 plays. Took them about 3.5 minutes to do so.
Well, some concern on the Rutgers sideline. Joe Paterno, on the other hand, well, he's got to be pleased so far in this football game. Montgomery set to hit the ball. James Shedneck handles it at the 3. Shedneck to the 10. Big hole. 30. 40. Shedneck on a fine return up near midfield, and if Rutgers has had one positive sign all year long, it's been the play of their special team.
42 yards for Shedneck. Nice hole, nice blocking there. He really eludes, I believe, just one would-be tackler. Watch the gaping hole here. He picks up a block on number 38, and really has clear sailing until he gets well into the secondary. Eludes one man there and is finally brought, well, actually knocked out of bounds.
47-yard line, 1st and 10. Hochberg, quarterback. Hooper is the tailback. Hochberg to throw, sets up, throws to Hooper. Hooper into Penn State territory. Good second effort. Has a first down. Don Graham, Harry Hamilton in on the tackle for Penn State.
The key, as Frank Burns said early in the season, the key this year for their passing game is pass protection. This time, Hochberg gets good pass protection, finds Hooper over the middle, and gets that first down. Hooper and, of course, Albert Smith have been alternating at that tailback spot.
First and 10, Rutgers 41. Hochberg back to throw, fires again, incomplete. In and out of the hands of Alan Andrews, and Don Graham was back in coverage for the Nittany Lions.
Fine play by Graham. Pass right on target. Got around the receiver without interfering with him and got a piece of the football. Very similar to the key play last week, Bruce, against Syracuse. That outstanding defensive play. Can't remember the name of the defensive player.
Dick Bellamy.
Bellamy, who just came up with a great play against Rutgers to pretty much cinch the game for Syracuse.
Second down and 10. Hochberg will put it up again, looking for Pendergraft. Throws incomplete. Very close on the play was Mark Robinson. No flag call. Mark Robinson, first team All-America last year as a safety. As Sam mentioned earlier, he's been moved to the right cornerback position. His brother Eric was a standout rusher at Indiana State, and he's now with the Washington Federals of the USFL.
Yeah, I would expect that Rutgers would test those cornerbacks. Robinson was a safety last year, and of course the other cornerback, Zordich, was an outside linebacker. Hard to believe that he has the speed to play cornerback. People from Penn State, he runs a 4.6 40, but that also is maybe a little hard to believe.
Rutgers trail 14-3, a minute 15 left first quarter. Third and 10 to Penn State 41. Hochberg sets up, fires, complete to Andrews, breaks the tackle. First down at the Penn State 23.
Fine read by Eric Hochberg, the hero. The strong safety, Harry Hamilton, or the outside linebacker. Watch him. Let's see if we pick him up. Number 17, he's coming from this side. Eric Hochberg reads that. You saw him pass Alan Andrews as Andrews broke downfield, threw into the area that the hero or Harry Hamilton would have been covering for Penn State. Fine read by both Andrews and Hochberg. That's what it takes, two people reading the defense.
First down, Rutgers, Penn State, 22-yard line. Hochberg so far 4 for 7 in the air. Hands to Hooper. Hooper hits the right side, gets to the 20-yard line. Hamilton came up that time to make the tackle.
Good block by Clement Udovich, pulling out on the play from his left guard spot. He logged in, turned that defensive end or outside linebacker to the inside, but in that case, the hero or strong safety, Harry Hamilton, came up to make the tackle.
Eric Hochberg throwing 65% completion percentage this year, 42 for 66 coming in so far today, 4 of 7 for 63 yards. Second down and 8. Rutgers at the 20. Hochberg back to throw. Look, fires incomplete. Good pressure that time by Greg Gattuso, senior from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Well, that is your best pass defense. The good pass rush, the sack, or, of course, when you deflect the ball as it leaves the quarterback's hand. Eric Hochberg now 4 for 8 for 63 yards. Strang for Penn State, 2 for 4 for 18 yards.
And Rutgers again marches well. And they've had a lot of trouble all year on third down. They have another big third down now. Third and 8. Ball at the 20. 6 seconds left, first quarter of play. Hochberg back to throw. Flag down. Hochberg hits Alan Andrews. Close to a first down. Mark Robinson made the tackle with some help from Greg Gattuso.
I think it was Penn State that went offsides. Good pass protection once again for Rutgers as Penn State was sending the defensive linemen and some of those linebackers. Watch those white jerseys come across the line of scrimmage. Here comes number 53, the inside linebacker, Don Graham. They sent another linebacker. Rutgers picked up the blitz, and of course he found his man. You've got to give a quarterback protection.
Well, before Rutgers makes the decision here, they have to figure out if they have the first down or not. Jim Garvey is trying to explain that to John Owens, who is the offensive co-captain. Apparently it was not a first down, so Rutgers will take the 5 yards, and they will have third down again and about 2. Here's the call from Garvey.
Offside! Defense! Repeat third down!
So it's still third down, and Sam, Rutgers still has to come up with a big third down conversion.
Another chance. Twice last week they were in fourth and short yardage inside Syracuse territory and could not come up with a big play.
So that is it, the end of the first quarter of play from Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The score, Penn State 14, Rutgers 3. The Indy Lions of Penn State leading Rutgers by a score of 14-3. The official clock is being kept on the football field, and apparently time has not expired in the first quarter of play, so Rutgers may get one play or one more after this one.
I know a half or the game can't end on a defensive penalty. Perhaps the rule applies to the end of a quarter also.
I believe it does now, one of the new rule changes. Good point. Third down short. 3rd and 2. Full house backfield for Rutgers. Hochberg on the bootleg. Hochberg's at the 10. He's going in for a touchdown. Eric Hochberg runs the bootleg to perfection, and Rutgers has narrowed the gap to 14-9.
Boy, they came right back, didn't they? You've got to change up. You've got to be unpredictable. You never want to let the defense know what you're going to do. Eric Hochberg does not run. At least they say he doesn't run very well. He looks pretty good here. Tall and lanky. Does not run as well as Jack LaPrairie. And that may be one of the reasons that they suckered Penn State in. Everybody went with that flow to the left. Eric Hochberg had one man to outrun, and he did so in excellent style.
Timeout called by Rutgers. Score 14-9.
Well, Rutgers has come right back. 53 yards, 7 plays.
In the past, Rutgers has played Penn State tough in the first half. Last year, score at the end of the first half, 21-14. Penn State went on to win at 49-14. Today, Rutgers hoping that a repeat of that contest does not take place. But Sam, as you said, it takes a lot of pride, if you will, to come back down early and just stick to your game plan and not get flustered and not have to all of a sudden go for a big play.
Well, that's certainly what they did last week against Syracuse. They dominated that second half. Despite some errors in the first half, they came right back and hung in there and certainly outplayed Syracuse in the second half. They've also come back twice in this game so far.
And Sam, Rutgers here is going to elect to go for 2. Trailing 14-9, they're going to try to put 2 on the board and cut the lead to 3. So Coach Frank Burns called the timeout, discussed things with Eric Hochberg. And now we'll find out what he has in store for us. Slide to the left side, Boris Pendergraft. Andrew Baker in the backfield along with Vernon Williams. Rutgers going for a 2-point conversion. Baker goes in motion. Hochberg rolls out, throws, and it's incomplete. Ball broken up by Don Graham, the freshman from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
You'll see number 10 break into the backfield. Well, perhaps we saw him. Instead, we have an isolated replay on number 86. You see good coverage by number 53, that freshman linebacker on Alan Andrews, the tight end. Hochberg did not have time to look for a secondary receiver. I don't think he wanted to throw to Andrews as he was well covered. He was under great pressure, had to unload the football.
So now they will switch sides. The quarter has expired, and Rutgers back in the football game, trailing 14-9. Rutgers scoring drive, 7 plays, 53 yards. They did it very quickly, a minute and 49 seconds. Hochberg running for the touchdown and the 2-point conversion failing.
Does that pass go into his attempts and completions for the day, Bruce? Do you know offhand? I don't think so, but a statistician, Kenny Friedman, asked, and
I would not think so, but we'll check on that at halftime, Sam.
okay. So we'll compare your statistics to the official statistics, and then we'll know.
Tom Angstad set to kick off for Rutgers. Back deep, Kevin Bow and Skeeter Nichols. Now we'll find out how tough the Rutgers defense is. They've been unable to stop Penn State so far this afternoon. And Skeeter Nichols waits for the football at his 9. 15, 20, and that is all. A wave of red shirts in on the tackle for Rutgers, and Penn State will have to start at their own 20.
And Peter Blank, our producer, indicates that the pass does go into the official stats. So at this point, Eric Hochberg is now 4 for 9 for 64 yards.
Okay, Penn State has a 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Doug Strang will start at quarterback. Strang from nearby Mainland Regional High School in Linwood, New Jersey, earned the starting role really with the game against Iowa when he went 17 of 36. Started the season, but had a tough time against Nebraska right here at Giant Stadium. 1st and 10. DJ Dozier is knocked down. Maybe a yard for DJ as Matt Bachman made a fine individual play.
Joe Paterno had indicated during the week that he was displeased with himself for moving quarterbacks in and out in that second game against Cincinnati. It indicates perhaps that he overreacted. And I have never known a situation where you can alternate quarterbacks successfully.
Penn State, 2 touchdowns, 3 possessions so far today. Back to throw is Strang. Sets up, throws incomplete. Just a poorly thrown pass intended for Kenny Jackson.
Well, that one had to slip out of Strang's hand, or he attempted to change course in midstream and wanted to pull it back, but certainly it bounced easily 10 yards in front of the intended receiver.
3rd and 9. Kenny Jackson comes wide left. So far this season, Kenny Jackson has only caught 9 passes. In his career, over 3 years, he has 90 catches. So if anyone's been going through somewhat of a frustrating season, you'd think it was Kenny Jackson. And yet Coach Joe Paterno said earlier in the week that the one thing Kenny's frustrated about is losing. Here's a young man who has known nothing but success at South River High School in New Jersey and then at Penn State University. So if he's frustrated about anything, it's the lack of winning this year.
Defense, encroachment, 3rd down.
Offsides called against Rutgers, so instead of 3rd and 9, it is now 3rd and 4.
It's number 95, Clyde Woodley, that went offside for Rutgers.
Penn State's been perfect so far today on 3rd down conversion. Strang, handoff, and Rutgers in on the tackle. Peter Nichols dropped for a loss. Lost back on the 25-yard line. And number 95, Clyde Woodley, a junior from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, really made a fine play.
Watch number 95 now. He goes around the center's block. In other words, you're supposed to fight through that center's head, or at least that's what he's expecting Woodley to do. Instead, Woodley just continued upfield and ran right into the ball carrier.
George Reynolds back in punt formation. Jedenek waits for it to Rutgers back at his own 40. Good punt. Jedenek is up to midfield, and he is tackled dead on the 50-yard line. Tackle made by Rocky Washington. So Rutgers, again, will have marvelous field position at the 50-yard line.
Jedenek has been outstanding in returning punts, kickoffs. Let's see how he gets nailed. He gets nailed pretty good there. Trying to break to the outside. He couldn't quite get behind that blocker he had in front of him, who was making a block on the play. Would have liked to have hid behind him, but couldn't quite get there.
39-yard punt, 10-yard return. Rutgers 1st and 10. Hochberg back to throwing 1st down, throwing long for Baker. He has it. Touchdown Rutgers. A 50-yard touchdown pass from Eric Hochberg to Andrew Baker, and Rutgers now leads Penn State.
Well, I don't know if Andrew Baker did that intentionally or not, but he sort of slowed up. There was a collision. The receiver and the defender met downfield, and then Baker put on a spurt and ran under the football. I think had he continued to run unobstructed, the ball might have been underthrown. Let's see if we can see exactly what happened here. I know there was a collision downfield between Baker and I believe Mark Robinson. Let's see what happens. If we get that collision, there you see them break. But anyway, the pass right on target for a touchdown. And in the final analysis, that's all that matters. It was Mike Zordich, number 43, covering on the play.
Hochberg's 3rd touchdown pass of the season. On to the extra point attempt, Tommy Angstadt. Ball placed down, the kick is up, and the kick is perfect. The Scarlet Knights of Rutgers lead the Nittany Lions of Penn State 16-14 with 13 minutes and 29 seconds. For Rutgers University, Andrew Baker, the junior from Trenton, New Jersey, catching a 50-yard touchdown pass, and Rutgers down 14-3, now leads 16-14.
And Joe Paterno mentioned Andrew Baker at the weekly press conference. He respected his speed, and if you remember last week against the Syracuse coaches had also spoken well of Andrew Baker. They respect his speed from the outside. There you see just one play, 50 yards, and it didn't take very long for Eric Hochberg to find his receiver.
Sam, that's the best kind of scoring drive, isn't it?
And that can demoralize a defensive unit, too. Of course, Penn State is not about to sit down.
Rutgers was victimized by big plays against Boston College here at Giant Stadium. Today they come up with a big play, and what a difference that makes. Angstadt kicks a squibber, and it goes out of bounds, so a penalty will be assessed against Rutgers. They will kick off from 5 yards back.
Certainly, Rutgers has not had a problem in moving the football throughout the season, despite the record on offense, total offense. Over the previous 3 games, they had 1,158 total yards. The big problem, as Bruce indicated, was the failure to put the ball in the end zone. Couldn't get that crucial yardage in 4th and short yardage situations. They have scored only 5 touchdowns, 2 rushing, and 3 receiving. That's exactly what we're talking about. You see Rutgers averaging 386 yards a game. That's not bad. But just 6 touchdowns. Again, an average of just 2 per game.
And one of those touchdowns, an interception returned by Butch Young. So the offense was not getting the ball in the end zone. And Sam, the other thing that Rutgers talked about was with Alan Andrews and Andrew Baker catching 31 passes between them and still no touchdowns. Angstadt hits this one straight down the field. It's handled by Bow at his 10. Kevin Bow to the 20, and Bow up to the 29-yard line. That's where Penn State will take over 1st and 10. Billy Dunster in on the tackle for Rutgers. So now Penn State, for the first time today, behind in the football game. They led 7-0, 7-3, 14-3, 14-9, and now Rutgers leading 16-14. Kind of a dreary day at Giant Stadium. Temperature about 65 degrees. It's a wet afternoon, but Rutgers playing well so far in this first half. Kenny Jackson hauls in the pass from Doug Strang for a first down at the 42-yard line. You can talk about Kenny Jackson all day long. An All-American from South River, New Jersey, and he has set 22 school records at Penn State.
Holding penalty on the part of Penn State, and then negate that completion.
So they'll bring one back. Rutgers, which has been hurt by penalties all season long, now Penn State being hit on a first down pass completion play. Penalty will bring it back. It'll be first and 15. Ball on the 29-yard line. 13 minutes, 19 seconds left in the second quarter of play. A very fast first quarter. Now things have really slowed down. That's what happens when the ball goes in the air. Trying to throw. Looking for Jackson. Incomplete. Bill Houston back in single coverage, but the ball nowhere near Kenny Jackson.
Good coverage by Houston. He was with him step for step. Penn State putting the football in the air. They ran very well last week against Temple. 253 yards rushing. Watch Houston now. Turns and he runs with a receiver. He has just as good a shot at the football as does the receiver. That's good coverage. That was Ken Jackson, of course, the All-American. Last year's All-American.
Today is in the air. And they go back to the ground. DJ Dozier picks up 9 or 10 yards. On 1st and 15, that's a nice thing to do. Move the ball straight down the field. 2nd and 15.
I would expect that Penn State feels they have better personnel than Rutgers, and they can control the football. He put it in the air because of the penalty. This time a draw play, set up like a pass, a delayed handoff to number 42, Dozier, for good yardage right up the middle. Good blocking by the middle of that offensive line. McGinnis, Hayden, and Todd Moles.
3rd and 4, 35-yard line. Strang will throw. Pressure. Jeff Tortilla gets Doug Strang. Oh, boy. Did Jeff Tortilla come barreling in there and level Doug Strang for a loss back inside his own 30-yard line.
Well, Ted Cottrell said during the week that Jeff Tortilla has been Rutgers' most consistent defensive lineman, was not quite up to par last week. He beats the offensive tackle, and here he comes free on Strang. Good tackle, too. Strang saw him coming and was able to tuck the football away. Otherwise, we might have had a fumble on the play. Had he been coming from the other side, Strang probably wouldn't have seen him, and we might have had a fumble.
George Reynolds waits for the ball at his 16. James Shedneck deep for Rutgers. High kick, Shedneck, fair catch, and he handles it to 33. Rutgers with a great deal of momentum. Right now, the defense stops Penn State. The offense gets good field position. 11:51 left in the second quarter. 16-14 Rutgers. First and 10 from their own 33-yard line. Scarlet Knights lead 16-14, trailing as much as 14-3 in this game. Hochberg on first down shows a lot of confidence. Hits Alan Andrews. Scott Radisek made the tackle. Goes to a first down.
Once again, Eric Hochberg reading the defense and the tight end, Alan Andrews, breaking into the middle where the linebackers are leaving in pass coverage as they're blitzing. Penn State sending 6 people on the play. 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, leaving the middle open. Alan Andrews breaking over the middle, and of course, both he and Hochberg have to read that.
That's close, isn't it, Sam? Maybe an inch and a half?
In fact, Dick Curl was telling me last week that with Hochberg in at quarterback, they had put some option routes in between the tight end and the tailback, where the tight end, as he's running downfield, reads the defender and has the option of breaking either to the outside or the inside, something you can do more readily with a drop-back quarterback like Hochberg.
Second down, inches. Rutgers at the 43-yard line. Hochberg keeps it, has a first down. Hochberg has played very well in this first half. 6 for 11, 123 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Hochberg has not run very often, but of course here you want him running with the football. I think that's your safest play when you want that first down. Just have the quarterback take it over rather than risk a handoff and the possibility of a fumble. Coming into today's game, he had run just 6 times with the ball. LaPrairie playing less than Hochberg 18 times.
First and 10 Rutgers, 45-yard line. On first down, Albert Smith. Met and stopped. Harry Hamilton came up from his hero back position to make the stop. Some help from Bob White.
Because it's always easier to read it from up here, but it looked to me as if Smith probably should have broken back to the inside. Vernon Williams was the lead blocker, and he had a pretty decent block on the play.
There's Harry Hamilton, 5'11 and a half, a senior from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, a 3-year starter defensively for Joe Paterno. Second down and 10 for Hochberg. Baker on the reverse. Baker has some running room. He's up and then tackled quickly at the 47, and it was Hamilton that prevented Baker from getting big yardage on the play.
Well, I guess that's why they call him the hero. Big play for Penn State. And as we indicated, he will move around. He'll be an outside linebacker. He'll be a strong safety. See if we can tell where he came from on that play. But anyway, he was right where he should have been. And then to make the tackle on Baker, they had pretty good fake action, and many of those Penn State defenders had gone with Hochberg.
Pretty good individual play also by Hamilton.
Over the years have heard of that terminology, the hero, many times. They've used that for the entire time that Joe Paterno has been the head coach at Penn State, which has been 18 years. He said it started back when Rip Engel was the coach, and they were looking for a term for the strong safety, number 17 right there. Now there he is lined up as a safety. You see he's not near the line of scrimmage as an outside linebacker.
On 3rd and 8, Hochberg drops back to pass, throws, and it's caught by Vernon Williams, but Williams goes down. His knee touched the surface at the 49 of Penn State. So on 4th and 4, Rutgers will have to punt it away.
And you saw number 55, Joe DiGilio, still on your screen, trying to pick up a downfield block. That's what you call a hustling, all-out offensive lineman, somebody that after he makes the block, after the quarterback releases the football, he runs downfield trying to pick up another block.
Gary Liska back in punt formation. Kevin Bow, Kenny Jackson deep for the Nittany Lions. Keep your eye on Kenny Jackson. He's the burner. Liska's punt handled by Bow at the 19, and Bow gets out to the 26. And that's where Penn State will start 1st and 10. 9:34 left in the first half. Rutgers leads by 2 from Giant Stadium. This is Rutgers football on Madison Square Garden Cablevision.
It brings legends to living rooms in the world of sports. Now also presents diversified entertainment programming, including classic television spy adventures with Patrick McNee and Diana Rigg in The Avengers, trendsetters of the art, fashion, and music world on Andy Warhol's TV, and some of the biggest names in the entertainment world with The Jonathan Schwartz Show, all on the Madison Square Garden Network. Consult your local listings for time and channel or contact your local cable system.
More and more people are coming to Madison Square Garden in groups because of the convenience in reserving seats and special savings. If you have a group of 25 or more, you can get assistance from our group sales department. This applies to the circus, the Bugs Bunny Sports Spectacular, plus dozens of sports and entertainment events in Madison Square Garden and the Felt Forum. Call the Garden's group sales office at 212-563-8080. That's 212-563-8080.
Bruce Beck and Sam DeLuca back at Giant Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Rutgers surprisingly leads Penn State 16-14. 9:34 left in the first half. Penn State 1st and 10 from their 26-yard line. Tony Mumford, the fullback, gets 3 off the left side. Lionel Washington in on the stop. Jeff Curdilla also in on the tackle with Matt Bachman there.
We mentioned before that Penn State flip-flops its offensive line. They have a strong side and a weak side. They call it a long side and a short side. And, of course, it enables them to get their best blocker at the point of attack. And, of course, when you run from the I formation, you can also use your best running back to either side. So it fits in well with that I formation that they just shifted out of.
2nd down, 6. Strang to throw. Lots of time. Looks across the middle. Again, the ball underthrown. Kevin Bow was free at the 45-yard line, and Strang just couldn't get him the football. Strang is struggling, 2 for 7 so far today.
And, of course, he came into today's game having completed 31 of 67 for 452 yards. But the impressive part of his statistics, 5 touchdown passes and just 2 interceptions in the 5 quarters that he's played. Not throwing well today.
3rd down, 6. 29-yard line for Penn State. Kenny Jackson comes all the way over to the left side. So twins now to the left for the Nittany Lions. Strang back to throw. And he is in trouble. Lionel Washington, the first man to greet Strang. Jim Patel finished them off, and Penn State will have to punt it away.
This is the 3rd time that Rutgers has sacked the quarterback today. Watch the rush by all of those people. And really, they have two offensive linemen blocking on each one of those defensive people for Rutgers. Just an outstanding job by the entire front 3 or front 4 for Rutgers.
George Reynolds back at his own 9-yard line. Reynolds sails a beauty. Jednek handles it at the 30 and falls out of bounds. What a punt that was by the senior George Reynolds. A 49-yard punt. This is the first year he's playing because last year he was a backup to Ralph Giacomo, who is now with the Atlanta Falcons. And for Reynolds, this is really the only year of competition. He's a 5th-year senior, but never got to play until this season, averaging over 40 yards per punt. Penn State's the kind of school where even if you're a great player, you may not get to play until you're a junior or senior. Rutgers has first and 10 at the 30. Hochberg to throw. Hochberg looks for Andrews, and it's incomplete. Alan Andrews was wide open. That time Hochberg threw it behind Andrews. Darryl Giles back in coverage for Penn State.
Well, Rutgers comes very close to breaking this thing wide open right here. Once again, good pass protection. That is the key, as is always. Now watch the ball just thrown a little bit behind Alan Andrews. Couldn't turn quite quickly enough to get a hold of it, but certainly he was clear between those deep safeties.
Second down, 10 at the 30. Hochberg 7 for 13. 8:03 left, first half. Rutgers leading 16-14. Draw to Smith. Smith carries a couple of people. John Walter made the tackle, and a flag is down on the play. That Penn State fan doesn't look too worried so far in the football game. His club only trails by 2. Jim Garvey will give us the call. It's against Penn State. Face mask penalty against the Lions.
Well, they've had several penalties today. A holding penalty earlier in the game brought back a first down.
Got a 5-yard face mask on the defense. 5 yards. Second down.
Second down now, and just 3 yards to go for Rutgers at the 37-yard line. Joe Paterno, his last 1-3 team back in 1976, but believe it or not, they finished 7-5. Second down and short. Let's see if Rutgers goes to the air again, and Hochberg will. Has time. Wide open receiver, Boris Pendergraft. First down, Penn State territory at the 48-yard line. Mike Zordich made the tackle.
Once again, right on target, Alan Andrews, the tight end, coming from the right side. Let's see if we can see him. He clears out those linebackers. 2 linebackers wind up on Andrews. There you saw the bottom of his feet, opening the middle for Boris Pendergrass, and once again, Hochberg right on target.
First and 10, 48-yard line of Penn State. Hochberg to throw, has time, going for Baker for all the marbles. Incomplete. Zordich back in coverage, and Hochberg again going for the long one and going for all the marbles with Andrew Baker.
Boy, if there was any doubt about his arm, and certainly we've never had any doubt about his arm, we've seen him throw very well and long. You can forget any doubt about that arm on that last play. Ball thrown over Baker's head. Tough catch. He might have been out of bounds even if he had caught it.
Baker has caught 2 today so far for 70 yards. Andrews 2 for 28. 4 of the receivers have hauled in passes. Hochberg with second and 10. Straight drop back. Time. And it's incomplete. Pass thrown behind Boris Pendergraft. It will bring up a 3rd and 10.
That was just a poorly thrown pass. It was thrown too low and behind Boris Pendergrass, number 83. You see him moving downfield, breaks, and really just hooks up. And perhaps he moved a little bit to the inside. Perhaps Hochberg expected him just to run straight down and turn. He took a couple of steps to the inside, but the pass was not on target.
3rd and 10. Ball to Penn State 48. 7:08 left. First half. Rutgers leads by 2. Hochberg sets up, has time, throws across the middle, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Scott Radisick. All-American a year ago, and coming up with his first interception of 1983.
Well, this time he throws into a crowd. Now you can press Mr. Hochberg. He had Andrew Baker alone downfield. Instead, he has eyes for, once again, Boris Pendergrass, and he threw behind him. Perhaps if the ball had been thrown well, leading Pendergrass, it certainly would have been intercepted. There might have been a chance for a reception.
In any event, 4 white shirts around the football, and Radisick comes up with the ball. Penn State first and 10 from their own 34. Strang to throw on first down. Fires complete. Dean DeMidio fumbles the ball, and Penn State recovers. C.J. Dozier was following the play down the field, and the halfback recovered the football, and Penn State has 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line.
Well, you'll see when he fumbles the football, there are 4 Rutgers defensive players around the ball. The ball takes a backward bounce right into Dozier's hands, but good heads-up play by Dozier as he was trailing the play. You saw that arm come out. I think it was Jim Dumont, and there's Dozier, who just happened to be in the right spot at the right time, but because of heads-up play.
Matt Backman stripped the football away from Dean DiMedio, but Penn State has a 1st and 10 at the 50. Dozier. 1st down. Dozier breaks away from a couple more people. He's inside the Rutgers 25 to the 23. Tyrone Stowe made the tackle, but DJ Dozier goes 27 yards.
Watch the gaping hole. I believe it's stand short, the strong side tackle with a good block on the defensive end. Big hole, and now Dozier does part of it by himself. He just overpowered or broke free of 2 would-be tacklers for extra yardage downfield, but good blocking at the point of attack by Stan Short and Dick McGinnis, the offensive guard.
1st down, 23-yard line. Dozier again, and he is stopped. Stopped by Bill Bechner. Bechner showed his strength in that play. Bechner is 270 pounds, and he used all of his muscles to corral Dozier.
The offensive line for Penn State was said to be somewhat inexperienced, and we saw some evidence of that in their inability to protect the passer. With an inexperienced line, I would have expected them to stay primarily on the ground as they did last week against Temple.
2nd down and 9 at the 22. Strang looking for Bow. It's incomplete. Kevin Bow had the ball in his hands. He just dropped it with Danny Errico looking on.
That time Strang right on target. And again, perhaps I shouldn't have said that I would have expected them to stay on the ground, because as we indicated at the start of the game, Penn State has a history of trying to maintain a balanced offense. So you never want to, again, do one thing exclusively. You want to keep that defense off balance and guessing.
3rd and 9, Nittany Lions at the Rutgers 22-yard line. Kenny Jackson goes in motion. Strang in trouble, gets away from Kurtilla, and is finally brought down from behind by Kurtilla. Sam, when a defensive player follows the quarterback the whole play, you know he's doing his job.
Kurtilla came free, one of the offensive backs. May have been Mumford. See Lionel Washington on the play. There's number 99, lying on the ground. Look, 2 people on him, and look, the running back just runs over Washington on the ground. He could not get turned around in position to assist in the tackle. They had double-team Washington, as you saw 2 Penn Staters lying on him.
Nick Cacciatano will try the field goal from 35 yards. The ball is placed down. Cacciatano's kick is up. It is perfect. So the junior from Coral Springs, Florida, is now 5 for 6 on the season. And Penn State retakes the lead 17-16. 4:40 left in the first half. It's been a good football game, and the Nittany Lions back in control by 1. This program is authorized by Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this event, including the imposition of a charge for viewing the program without the express written consent of Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated, is prohibited. And the announcers on this telecast were selected by Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated. Albert Smith out of Union High School, sophomore at Rutgers, starting tailback today, getting a lot of work in the offensive backfield. And that's Greg Montgomery, who is set to kick off for Penn State.
Rutgers statistically ahead of Penn State. They have 186 total yards. Penn State 144 yards. Rutgers, most of their yardage in the air, 141 passing, 45 rushing. Penn State just the opposite, 133 rushing, just 11 yards in the air as Strang has been thrown 3 times for losses.
Ball taken at the 8-yard line by Len Beleza. Beleza brings it back to the 27 where he is tripped up. Sam, last week against Syracuse in the first half, Rutgers had poor field position all day. Today they have had nothing but good field position. That makes a difference.
Of course, they came up with a big play also, which put them on the scoreboard in a hurry. That one long touchdown pass to Baker.
Baker now comes wide right. Pendergrass wide left. 4:35 left in the first half. Rutgers trailing now 17-16. Hooper in the backfield along with Beleza, and Hooper gets the handoff. Dwayne Hooper breaks a couple of tackles and gets it up to the 37-yard line. Steve Scepter, senior from New Cumberland, Pennsylvania, made the tackle.
Well, Joe Paterno might call this poor tackling. Frank Burns might call it good running by Hooper. Let's see if they do have a shot. Yeah, there's a missed tackle. And another one, number 53, Don Graham put his head down. And number 52, Joe Hines just made a poor tackle.
Pickup of 9, 2nd and 1. Hooper, first down, 41-yard line, gang tackle led by Scott Radisek. Rutgers Penn State's last scoring drive. 5 plays, 47 yards. 2:22, Kansas Town hit the 36-yard field goal. That was the Nittany Lions' last 3-point drive.
We don't have time of possession, although Rutgers has more yardage. Obviously, Penn State has had the ball longer as they've been running the ball on the ground. Of course, Rutgers came up with that quick touchdown score.
Hochberg back to throw on first down. Throws incomplete, intended for Pendergrass. Again, the ball was thrown behind bars.
Timing pattern, running downfield, once again on a hook or a curl. A hook is when you run downfield and just turn toward the quarterback. He tries to release the ball just before you stop and make your turn. A curl is where you go down the same way and then come back toward the line of scrimmage. Either way, Hochberg threw it poorly.
So it's 2nd down and 10 at the 41. Baker right, Pendergrass left. Hooper is the tailback. Hochberg has a lot of time, throws complete to Andrews. A pickup of 5. Darryl Giles made the tackle for Penn State. What a job by the Rutgers offensive line in terms of pass coverage.
That is what has kept them in this football game and makes it such a close game at this point. Penn State 17, Rutgers 16. They're giving Hochberg time to throw the football. He throws into a crowd, but fortunately for him, he's right on target. You see a couple of people around him. He had to wait until Andrews passed that linebacker before he threw the ball. You got to throw between the linebackers.
3rd and 4 at the 46. Hochberg still waiting. Out of the pocket, and then he's finally corralled from behind by Steve Scepter. And Rutgers will have to punt on 4th down. Also good pressure from Rogers Alexander.
And again, they didn't break clean on the quarterback, Hochberg. It's just that he couldn't find anyone downfield. And given enough time, eventually those defensive people are going to get to the quarterback.
Gary Liska waits for the ball at his 27. That's Kevin Bounty. Liska hits it short, but it is very high, and Bow handles it at the 20. And Rutgers with excellent field coverage. Again, Mercer Hedgeman down there, Joe Corbin. Good hustle on the part of the Scarlet Knights, and when you hang that punt up high, even if it's only 38 yards, you're not going to get much of a return.
Yeah. I think that last play by Hochberg is an indication of how not only is the defensive secondary reliant upon the good pass rush by the defensive line, but it works both ways. When you have good coverage in the secondary, obviously the quarterback can unload the football quickly, can't find the receiver, and it gives the defensive lineman time to flush him out of the pocket and run him down.
Penn State leads by 1, 17-16, 2:32 left in the first half. 1st and 10, Nittany Lions at their own 20. On first down, DJ Dozier. And Dozier gets 6 yards. Jim Dumont chasing the play along with Matt Bachman and Randy Hannes. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Sam, in past games against Penn State, I've seen Rutgers look intimidated. I do not see them looking that way today.
And I would think that Penn State's record has something to do about that. In fact, the Penn State players have commented on that. They're not getting the respect they used to get.
2nd down, Strang throws, complete to Kenny Jackson. And he is stopped by Dan Errico, but has a first down up at the 37-yard line.
Murray, that is very important, Bruce. The fact that confidence, the mental attitude, the emotional readiness of a team is so important. And Penn State always had that edge. They were national champs. They were a top-rated team. Everybody respected them, feared them, perhaps were tentative. They're not experienced that any longer. People are coming after them.
First and 10, a minute 43 to play. Strang throws this one out of bounds. He was under pressure, and it came in the person of Jeff Cardilla. It also came with Randy Hannes. Cardilla is playing an outstanding football game at left tackle today.
Offensive line for Penn State showing their inexperience, trying to punish the defensive players. Even when they're double teaming someone, instead of just walling off that defensive man, staying between him and the quarterback, they're looking to pop out, to hit, to hurt, to punish, when you're not supposed to do that. It's more effective for an offensive lineman to be passive and just wall off the man.
Second down and 10. D-Day Dozier. Dozier is at the 50. First down. Dozier at the Rutgers territory at the 42-yard line. Tackle made by Bill Houston.
And of course, that's what we were talking about was on a pass play. On a run, it's just the opposite. Here you want to be aggressive. You want to fire out. You want to push people around. Good block down on the inside man. Good block on Bob Dumont. And that's what made the play go.
First and 10. Strang sets up, throws, complete to Peter Nichols. Nichols breaks the tackle, looks to the sideline, wants to stop the clock, but he can't get there. Pickup of 3 on the play. A minute 19 seconds left in the first half. Penn State leads by 1, but they're looking for at least 3 more.
Both teams have moved the ball well offensively. I think it would be a big plus for Rutgers and certainly a psychological lift if they can stop Penn State here and go in at halftime just trailing by 1 point. Score Penn State 17, Rutgers 16 with 1:19 remaining.
Penn State jumped on the scoreboard first. They led by a score of 7-0 in the first quarter. Rutgers came back to the Tom Angstead field goal, set the lead to 7-3. Penn State added a touchdown. Then Rutgers came back with 2 scores. And the Nittany Lions off a field goal by Gancitano lead by 1. D.J. Dozier with 96 yards rushing in this first half, 7.3 yards per pop. Dozier could become one of 6 players in Penn State history today to gain 100 yards or more in 3 consecutive games. And he certainly would become the only freshman ever to do it. Highly recruited out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. And year in, year out, Penn State seems to come up with an outstanding tailback. Second down and 8, Nittany Lions at the Rutgers 39. Kenny Jackson goes in motion. Strang rolls out, has time, throws, complete to Jackson, first down. Jackson out of bounds at the 23. Carl Howard pushed the All-American out of bounds for Jackson, his second reception of the afternoon.
Penn State has run the football 23 times. They have now passed 13 times. That last completion was a big one. For Rutgers, they have passed 19 times and run the football 13 times in this first half. And Eric Hochberg has run 3 times of those 13 rushes for Rutgers.
Nichols and Dozier in the backfield behind Doug Strang. Jackson comes in motion. Handoff, Dozier, stop. Stop called by Jim Dumont. Just another fine individual play by the senior from Levittown, Pennsylvania. And Sam, does he impress you week in, week out?
I'll tell you, we talked about it before. Watch Jim Dumont, number 53, coming up. Well, poor block by, I believe that was the tight end coming down. Dumont just sort of hid between his defensive linemen. But we talked before about those great linebackers coming out of Penn State. And I know that Jim Dumont, I didn't talk to him prior to the game, had to be thinking that this is the place, or this is the team that comes up with all those linebackers. And he had an opportunity today to outshine them, and I'm sure that's on his mind. He has been the outstanding players for Rutgers over the last 2 seasons. All that talk about rushing and passing, the bottom line is that Penn State has run the ball far more often than they have passed, and Rutgers has done just the opposite today.
Well, there's the story. Penn State leads by 1. A minute 8 left in the first half. First down, as you can see, 9-8 Penn State leads. It's been a very evenly played first half. Rutgers at one point was on the verge of possibly being blown out. They were down 14-3, but they came back strongly. they are very much alive in this football game. Penn State leads by 1, looking for a little more.
And my point, Bruce, is that the team that runs more effectively doesn't always win, but it certainly is advantageous.
Second down, 13 at the 26. Jackson wide left. Strang to throw. In trouble. Throws incomplete. Clyde Woodley put a great deal of pressure on Doug Strang, and Woodley, for the second time today, made his presence known.
No doubt that Strang wanted to throw that out of bounds. He wasn't close to a receiver. Once again, good pressure by the Rutgers defensive line, and they have given their quarterback, Eric Hochberg, excellent pass protection. That has been why Rutgers has been successful in the air.
3rd and 13. Ball to 26. A minute, 3 seconds left, first half. Jackson wide to the left, and Strang will throw. Strang's pass deflected. It hit DJ Dozier in the left hand and popped out of bounds. So Penn State now on 4th and 13 will send on the field goal team.
Well, he had to be throwing at Dozier, but certainly he didn't have touch on the football. Dozier was only a few yards downfield, if beyond the line of scrimmage at all, and he just overpowered him, obviously not giving Dozier time to react to the football. All he could do was get one hand on the ball.
Nick Cacciatano will try a 43-yard field goal attempt. Ball placed down, the kick is up, and it is good. That is the longest field goal of Cacciatano's career, and Penn State widens their lead to 20-16 with 54 seconds remaining in the first half. So the Nittany Lions moving the football well, but then Rutgers defensively holding Penn State, forcing them to take the field goal, and the Lions will take the extra 3 with them into the locker room with 54 seconds left in this first half. Cacciatano, by the way, won the AAU under-16 wrestling title at 159 pounds, was a 19-0 performer as an amateur boxer, and was 9-0 in PKA kick karate. So I'll tell you, sometimes a kicker doesn't do anything but kick, but here's the gentleman who's an outstanding athlete as well. Frank Burns has to be pleased overall with his team's performance in this first half.
Penn State on that last possession traveled 54 yards in 9 plays, finally settling for the field goal.
Even though Cacciatano kicks extra points and field goals, this man, Greg Montgomery, does the kicking off. James Shedneck, the deepest man for Rutgers in the return game. Oh, he sails a beauty into the end zone, does Montgomery, and Rutgers will have to take it at the 20-yard line, where they will start out 1st and 10 with 54 seconds left in the first half. And I don't expect, well, you never can guess at this kind of time of the game, Sam, but I wouldn't expect Rutgers to get overly wild in their offensive plays here.
No, certainly depends on where the ball is. When you're on your own 20 with just 54 seconds remaining in the half, and it's a close football game, you don't want to take foolish risks, because if you do turn it over, obviously Penn State might be in position for a field goal, or might get into that position very quickly. I doubt if he's going to throw it long. He might put it in the air, but not long.
On first down, Hochberg keeps it on the ground, hands it to Wayne Hooper. Hooper looking for the sideline, has a first down, and a play like that can change their whole offensive philosophy in this series.
Depends where the football is, obviously, and now he might very well put it in the air, or perhaps run off one more running play, hopefully to get some more good yardage, and then put it in the air.
Sometimes you can be conservative, and you may get a little bit lucky.
Yes, but what you don't want to do is, turn it over and let Penn State get on the scoreboard once again.
1st and 10, 33-yard line. Let's see what Hochberg does with 48 seconds left in the first half. Hochberg will put it up. Throwing long for Baker. And he has it. First down, Rutgers at the Penn State 33. A great catch by Baker. 2 Penn State players back in coverage. And Rutgers now with 41 seconds to go has a good scoring opportunity.
You see that Baker slows up looking for the football and then just puts on a burst of speed, breaking between the 2 defenders. Number 16, I didn't get the other guy's number down there, but watch him just come clear, people all around him, catching the football, and he knew he was going to get hit by Darryl Giles, number 28.
First down, flags down on the play. The pass thrown complete to Gary Picot for another Rutgers first down at the 19, but flags are down at the line of scrimmage. And we'll have to wait for the call from Jim Garvey.
Fine pass by Eric Hochberg. This is not a situation where Penn State was in a deep zone and was readily conceding short passes. Those were not short passes. Certainly that one to Baker was not short. There was coverage on the play. Eric Hochberg just right on target.
Offsides called against Penn State. Rutgers refuses the penalty. They'll take the pass play instead. First and 10 at the 18-yard line. 25 seconds left in the half.
I mentioned that because so often at the end of the half or at the end of the game, when a team is ahead, they will go into that prevent defense and readily concede the 6, 7, 8-yard completions. Those two passes by Eric Hochberg were not for 6 or 7 yards. They were long passes, and Penn State was in their regular coverage.
But that first play, the first running play where Hooper picked up 13 yards and was smart enough to get out of bounds, set up the rest of this drive.
Well, didn't it? It gave Hochberg some running room, some room to pass, and also some confidence. Baker now has 4 receptions for 119 yards. Pretty good average.
Pretty good first half for Andrew Baker.
Of course, coming into today's game, he had 12 for 247 yards, a 20.6 average.
First and 10, 18-yard line, 25 seconds left in the half. Hochberg to throw. Has time, throws to Hooper, and it's incomplete. Hooper was really leveled by number 53, Don Graham, who has played one whale of a first half, and Hooper is down on the field after taking a real shot.
Well, that's all a linebacker can do when the receiver is catching the ball in front of him, in this case a tailback, Dwayne Hooper. All he can do is come up and rack up that receiver, hoping to cause a fumble, to at least let him know that, hey, next time you're going to get hit, because he hits him hard. Look at that. Helmet right into Hooper's face mask and unloaded. He had, I believe, Alan Andrews downfield. Mr. Hochberg did, but of course you can't see everything. I believe he was looking for Hooper all the way, that he was the intended receiver on the play.
Don Graham is a freshman from the same high school, Brentwood High School, as Scott Radicic, who starts at the other inside linebacker position. As a senior in high school, he was a linebacker, running back, and punter. Comes very highly recruited. He began the fall as the number 3 man, and already has worked himself into the starting lineup.
They blitzed a little bit today, but their history over the years has not been to blitz very often. The blitz is a gamble. When you have good personnel, as Penn State has had over the years, you would like to play it relatively conservatively. In other words, you don't have to gamble. You don't want to take a chance of moving a man out of position and allowing the offense to break a long one, either the run or a pass behind that blitzing linebacker.
20 seconds left in the half. Second and 10, Rutgers, 18-yard line of Penn State. Hochberg has time, throws, and it's caught. Caught by Boris Pendergrass at the 7-yard line. Good for a first down with 13 seconds left in the half.
Mr. Hochberg once again right on target. You have to be impressed with this young man. He's just a sophomore.
Rutgers gets the field goal team on quickly. Tom Angstad is out there. Keith Udak will hold. Clock says 13 seconds left. Now they'll run the clock. It's down to 9 in the first half. Rutgers looking for 3. Ball placed down. Kick is up. Kick is perfect. So Rutgers quickly marches down the field, gets 3 more points on a field goal from Angstad. And with 4 seconds left in the first half, Penn State leads the Scarlet Knights only by 1, 20-19.
Fine drive by Rutgers. They certainly haven't had many problems offensively this year, coming into today's game, averaging 386 yards in total offense. And it looks like they're going to duplicate that or come close to it once again today. Right now they have 263 total yards. Eric Hochberg, 12 for 23 for 205 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He's been thrown just once for a loss. Rutgers now has 72 yards on the ground, a total of 273 yards to 198 total yards for Penn State. Penn State has 156 rushing, just 42 passing. Strang 6 for 15 for 65 yards has not been especially sharp.
Only 50 seconds between field goals. Rutgers back in the ball game, down 1. They've really been in it all the way. It's been a fine played first half. At halftime, we'll be talking to Fred Gruninger, the Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at Rutgers University. We'll also have statistics, highlights, and much more for you. So stay with us during our halftime show. 4 seconds left. Tom Angstad puts it back into play for Rutgers. And Kevin Bow handles it at the 10. Bow to the 20. And that should do it for the first half of play.
I tell you, Bruce, when you look at Mr. Hochberg moving his team 72 yards in 5 plays, that's impressive. But what is even more impressive is that he did it all in
Penn State leads Rutgers at the end of the first half of play. And we're expecting some good football in the next 30 minutes. Eric Hochberg has been the star on the offensive end for the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. And it's DJ Dozer who's been running awfully well so far for the Nittany Lions of Penn State. Dozer is just a freshman, but already with 2 100-yard games coming into today's action.
It's been drizzling on and off here, Bruce. It may be coming down just a little bit harder as I see more umbrellas opening up. However, I don't think that the weather is going to influence the game one way or the other at this point anyway.
The one thing I've been noticing even throughout the first half is sometimes an artificial turf play becomes a little bit slippery. Sometimes it's hard to find your footing, and once in a while you'll see a receiver go down chasing a football. We might see something like that.
Yeah, but it works for both teams, and I don't think it's going to affect the passing game at this point any more than the running game. It's always a big debate as to which part of the game is hurt more, the rushing attack or the passing game. And again, it depends on the intensity of the rain and the condition of the field. In this case, I don't think that the weather or the rain is going to affect the game at all.
Pretty good crowd at Giant Stadium. Attendance expected to be somewhere near 35,000. That may have been kept down just a little bit by the weather, but still a pretty good crowd today. There's Greg Montgomery. Montgomery is a freshman from Shrewsbury, New Jersey, and he is set to kick off. Rutgers will receive the ball here in the second half of play. Penn State 1-3 off the victory a week ago over Temple. Rutgers is 1-2. They've lost consecutive games to Boston College and Syracuse. James Shedneck, 2 yards deep, will run it out. Shedneck to the 20, and he gets to the 22-yard line, and that's where Rutgers will start. 1st and 10. Chris Collins made the tackle for Penn State. Rutgers going with Eric Hochberg at quarterback. Offensive line, Joe DiGilio, Clement Udovich, John Owens, Jim Keating, and John Panucci. The wide receivers are Boris Pendergrass and Andrew Baker. Alan Andrews, the tight end, and they will start number 38, Vernon Williams at one running back, and Albert Smith, number 33, at the other running back position. 21-yard line, 1st and 10 Rutgers as we begin playing the third quarter. Hochberg goes right to the air, looking for Baker, and it is incomplete. Duffy Cobbs was back in the coverage against Andrew Baker, and Baker almost pulled that one in.
Once again, a collision downfield, but both men going for the football, and it was not called. Eric Hochberg putting the ball right in the air. You know, you hear so much about a quarterback's arm and that quick release, and certainly Hochberg has the arm, but timing between the quarterback and the receiver is everything. That and the ability to read defenses and make adjustments.
2nd down and 10 from the 21-yard line. Albert Smith tries to get outside, and he is hauled down quickly. Number 84, Carmen Maciento, was the man who led the charge for the Nittany Lions. Penn State is using a lot of different people defensively. They're starting with Duffy Cobbs at left cornerback, replacing Mike Zordich. They've got Carmen Maciento replacing Don Graham at an inside linebacker position. They're using a lot of different people on the defensive end. 3rd and 11 for Rutgers at the 21-yard line. Pendergrass to the left and Baker to the right. Hochberg will put it up, has time. Throws for Baker, and Baker has it.
And I think he just got the first down.
I think he did, Sam. Up at the 33-yard line.
Well, of course, this is what Andrew Baker should be doing, being aware of where that first down marker is. The marker was on the other side of the field. However, he knew where he was going. A simple timing pattern. The receiver runs downfield, breaks toward the sideline. Ideally, you want the quarterback to release that football, just as he makes that break or just before he makes the break. If it's done that way, it's a safe pass, and it should be a high percentage pass.
Well, they're talking to Scott Radicic, who is one of the captains for Penn State. Roughing the passer penalty is charged against Penn State. That would be an automatic first down for Rutgers. So the Scarlet Knights will probably take the penalty here. We'll have to see.
A key to today's ball game, that pass protection that Rutgers has afforded its quarterback, and I think the pressure they have put on, the Rutgers defense has put on Penn State's quarterback.
So Rutgers takes the penalty, rushing the passer. It's a 15-yard penalty, and it will give the Scarlet Knights an automatic first down. So instead of taking 12, they take 15, and Rutgers starting off well here in the beginning of the third quarter of play. 36-yard line, 1st and 10. Baker wide left, Pendergrass wide right. Albert Smith gets the call on a trap play, and Smith gets 2 or 3 off the left side following the blocks of Udovich and Keating. Harry Hamilton in on the stop along with Scott Radicic.
Mentioned the changes that Penn State made on its defensive unit, shifting people around and putting in some new people. They wanted to get some help on the outside. I don't think that was a desperation move on the part of Joe Paterno, but just perhaps a reevaluation. Hey, maybe we're not utilizing our people properly, and of course that is the key to successful coaching.
2nd down and 7. Hochberg play action pass, throws for Pendergrass, has it, first down, Penn State territory at the 48-yard line. Mark Robinson made the hit, and Hochberg is going to his wide receivers this afternoon with no problem.
Now you'll see good coverage on the part of Mark Robinson. He is all over Pendergrass on the play. Hochberg rolling to his left, right-handed quarterback. That overhead delivery right on target once again. The defender has to stay between the receiver and the goal line, and when the quarterback is moving out like that, if he's on target, you've got a completion.
1st and 10. Hochberg right back to pass. Plenty of time. Andrews is wide open, and Andrews has it for a first down at the 17-yard line of Penn State. Andrews took a wicked hit, but held on to the football, and Rutgers is on the march again.
You know, you hear it over and over. Concentration. The receiver concentrating on the football. Watch Pendergrass. He knows that Robinson is going to come up. Number 32 will come into your screen as you see Pendergrass breaking over the middle. He knows he's going to get hit. There's a tendency to take your eyes off the football. He did not. He knew he was going to get walloped. He did, and he held on to the football still on the ground.
Mark Robinson, the 5'11 senior, All-American last year as a safety, now playing cornerback, really leveled Alan Andrews, and looks like he has the wind knocked out of him, which is what you would expect on a hit like that, Sam.
Boy, he was hit, too. Of course, Robinson, as you said, was a safety, so he is used to hitting. The safeties for Penn State, as we indicated before, sometimes come up in that outside linebacker position, although Robinson was not the hero. He was the other side, more accustomed to hitting than your cornerbacks, usually tougher people. He showed it on that last hit on Alan Andrews.
1st and 10, Rutgers at the 18-yard line of Penn State. Vernon Williams tries the left side, gets 3 or 4 yards. Maciento made the tackle. Eric Hochberg exudes confidence. He is playing with great skill and not letting the emotion of the game get to him.
Boy, certainly. Rutgers has not been overwhelming on the ground. They have about 74 yards rushing, but certainly that's enough to keep the defense honest. But Eric Hochberg has carried the load pretty much on his shoulders today.
There are Hochberg's stats on the day, and they are impressive, especially 249 yards, and we still have 12 minutes left in the third quarter. 2nd down and 6. Ball at the 14-yard line. Play action pass. Hochberg looking for Pendergrass. Pendergrass has it down to the 6-yard line. Good for another Rutgers first down. Duffy Cobb made the hit, but it was a little bit too late.
Once again, the sideline pattern. Watch Pendergrass go downfield, break toward the sideline. Not much of a fake inside. The whole thing is timing. The ball should have been there already, but they were fortunate. The cornerback was not as tight as he should have been, allowing time for the completion. Ideally, your quarterback wants to release that football as the receiver breaks to the sideline. There was some play action in the backfield, which probably delayed his release, threw off the timing just a little bit. But boy, Hochberg right on target. Ups.
An inadvertent snap with a full house backfield. Hochberg recovered the football just dove with it straight ahead. And there is a flag down on the play. And a little bit of scuffling between a couple of players from Rutgers and Penn State.
Hochberg now 15 to 27. I don't know what that translates to. I would say probably about 60%. But what is even more impressive is the 257 yards. He's not throwing dump-off passes. He's not throwing to his backs. He's not throwing 5 or 6 yard passes. He's throwing deep downfield. Let's hear this.
Illegal motion. Offense. Repeat first down.
Well, I hope they can hear him at home because I can't.
Illegal motion called against Rutgers. It will be first down and goal from the 11. Full house backfield. Smith. Williams. Hooper. Baker wide right. Andrews wide left. Hochberg runs the option. Keeps the ball. Hochberg inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. Pushed out of bounds. Eric Hochberg, who is from State College, Pennsylvania, elected to go to Rutgers.
Running the football a little more. Ran a bootleg earlier in the game for a touchdown for Rutgers. Here elects to keep the ball. Well, I think he intended to keep it all the way through. Never did look behind him. I don't think he had a trailing tailback.
You know, Joe Paterno commented during the week that if a young man is from State College, which is, of course, where Penn State is located, and has a father on the staff, unless he's a great player, you don't want to put the additional pressure on him for playing with the team. Hence, Hochberg ended up at Rutgers.
He may have second thoughts right now.
Second down and goal. Hochberg looks. Hochberg throws. Incomplete. 3 or 4 different players had a shot at that ball, including Alan Andrews, the intended receiver, and Scott Radisek of Penn State.
Number 84, Carmen Messi Antonio, really has the best shot at the football. This is what Hochberg has to learn not to do. Try to thread that football. You see, Messi Antonio was right in position, really, to catch it. He was going in one direction, but he was close enough to change his forward momentum, going to his right, come back and get a piece of the ball. You want to throw safe passes, ideally, and not risk the possibility of an interception in a case like this.
3rd and 8 for Rutgers at the 8. Hochberg to throw. Pressure, in trouble. Hochberg goes down back at the 21-yard line. Tremendous pressure from Joe Hines and Greg Gattuso. Both tackles, and Hochberg down for a big
I believe
loss.
you're going to see number 17, the Heroes, strong safety Harry Hamilton, coming from that strong safety position. There you see 17, and he brings him down along with Rogers Alexander, the sophomore outside linebacker. So they were sending a number of people. They're sending the 4 defensive linemen, the safety, and the outside linebacker.
Tom Angstadt will try a field goal. It will be a 38-yard attempt. The ball is up, high enough, deep enough, but no good. Off to the right. So Angstadt misses, and Rutgers comes up empty. 20 to 19, Penn State leading Rutgers with 10:57 to go in the 3rd quarter of play. Over from their own 20. 1st and 10, they lead 20 to 19 in the football game. No scoring here in the 3rd quarter of play. Doug Strang has gone all the way at quarterback, hands off to DJ Dozer. Dozer is run down by Jeff Cardilla and Butch Young. A pickup of maybe 2 yards or 3 yards on the play. It will bring up 2nd down and call it 7.
One thing that Joe Paterno mentioned during the week, Bruce, was the fact that they changed their scheduling at Penn State, the way they schedule their classes, and his practice schedule was somewhat disrupted by that, which he thought might have had some impact on his football team and their poor performance coming into today's game or into last week's game against Temple.
2nd down, 7. Dozer again. DJ, first down, big hole. Bill Houston made perhaps a saving tackle at the 38-yard line. And Dozer has been very impressive on the offensive end today.
Watch number 54, Dick McGinnis. He's the short guard, pulling out on the play. He just passed well, there he is, blocking on Lino Washington, number 99. Once again, the key play. They have trapped Washington several times today, something you do against what you think is the opposing team's best pass rusher to slow him down, take advantage of that outside charge.
1st and 10 at the 39-yard line. Strang, back to pass, has time, steps into the pocket, and quickly his pocket dissipated. Jim Dumont got to Strang just as Doug released the football and hit him enough to alter the direction of the pass.
May have forced the throw, forced Strang to throw a little bit prematurely, but certainly it was either a poor pass or he was just throwing it into the turf and in effect throwing it away.
Second down, 10 yards to go. Penn State playing today without Jonathan Williams, junior running back from Somerville, New Jersey, had a knee injury in the Iowa game a couple of weeks ago, has not played the last 2 weeks. Strang back to throw, runs out of the pocket, keeps the ball. Strang turns upfield. He has a first down. He's into Rutgers territory at the 48-yard line. Tyrone Stowe and Harry Swain made the tackle for Rutgers.
Well, that time Strang got the yardage on his own, but a good pass rush. Once again, I believe you'll see number 79, Jeff Cordilla, break in there. A number of people. There's that young player, 95. What's his name again? Bruce.
Clyde Woodley.
He's okay. Anyway, he was the man that forced Strang out of the pocket. Clyde Woodley.
Now, he was third on the depth chart coming in, Sam, but next week you can be sure he'll be number 2 or better. First and 10. 48-yard line of Rutgers. Here's Dozer on a counter, and he is caught from behind. Jeff Cordilla continues to excel. The senior from Newark, New Jersey, read the play and came in to catch DJ for a loss.
And it doesn't much matter whether Cordilla is playing against the short tackle or the long tackle. At that time, I believe it was a replacement block by the remaining back. He was supposed to block on Cordilla, missed the block, and he came free on the ball carrier.
A loss of 4. Second down and 14. Jackson wide right, Bow wide left. Strang in trouble again. Throws. It's intercepted by Jim Dumont. Rutgers takes over at the 43-yard line of Penn State, and again, Dumont comes up with a big play.
And Clyde Woodley, that backup nose guard, put pressure on Strang. Watch number 95 playing on the offensive center. Big offensive center. He goes around him, forces Strang to throw the football. That was a no-no. Right into Jim Dumont's hands.
8:32 to play. Third quarter. Rutgers with an opportunity to bounce back and take the lead. Penn State 44-yard line. Albert Smith is the tailback. Smith gets the ball, gets a couple of yards straight up the middle. Massa Antonio and Alexander in on the stop. And Harry Hamilton, the hero back, is all over the place.
John Owens pulling out from his right guard spot for Rutgers, pulling to his left, and I believe that Smith should have followed the block. He broke to the inside for no yardage.
Second down, 8. Split receivers both sides of the field. Looking for Baker on the reverse. Baker has a lot of running room. He's at the 40. And Baker goes down at the 38. Again, a good hit from the secondary, or Baker might have been going for big yardage as Mark Robinson came up to make the stop.
Yeah, Baker tried to put a move on, a fake on Mark Robinson. He's the cornerback on that side, but we had indicated he was a safety for 3 years, an All-America last year. And he's a good tackler, obviously.
Third and 3. Ball to Penn State 37. Hochberg back to throw. Hochberg throws for Smith. And Smith almost had it. Hit it with the left, hit it with the right, couldn't pull it in. And it will bring up 4th down and 4 at the 38-yard line.
A good pass protection. Sending 4 people. The Rutgers offensive line does not set, does not go down into a 3-point stance. No need to when you're going to throw the football. They did not rush all of their people that time. You saw number 70 hanging in the middle. He is listed as a defensive tackle. Number 70, Greg Cattuso. He was standing up and dropped back into short coverage. Gary
Liska to punt on 4th down. Liska inside the Penn State 45. He goes for the coffin corner. And I don't believe he got it into the end zone, and it will be a touchback. The ball will come out to the 20-yard line. So, no scoring here in the third quarter. Penn State still leads by 1 with 7:13 to play at the Giant Stadium. This is Rutgers football on Madison Square Garden Cablevision.
Cablevision presents the very best in sports and entertainment programming. There's the exclusive coverage of all Knicks and Rangers home games. That's more than 80 evenings to see your favorite professional teams live from the Garden. Boxing fans get a full schedule of today's pros, plus tomorrow's champs in the Golden Gloves. MSG Cablevision viewers catch the non-stop action with wrestling, as well as college basketball and football, while horse racing fans get action 7 nights a week. Watch for the best men and women tennis stars in the world. And don't forget basketball's most historic championship, the National Invitation Tournament. There are also special events like the horse show, the dog show, and the renowned Milrose Games in track and field. And now the network that brings legends to living rooms presents diversified entertainment with the Avengers, Andy Warhol's TV, and the Jonathan Schwartz Show. All on Madison Square Garden Cablevision, the network for sports and entertainment all year round.
9. Strang, quick drop back, looks across the middle, hits Dozier. Dozier has a first down, and Dozier is up to the 42-yard line. Nice catch by the freshman from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and he is doing it both catching the ball now and running the ball.
Well, I guess when you have quick feet, you have quick hands. Watch how quickly Dozier goes behind him to catch the ball here. Just threw those arms out behind him. The ball thrown a little bit behind the running back. A good adjustment.
First and 10, 42-yard line for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Strang taking a lot of time, hands off to Skeeter Nichols. Nichols gets 5 yards before Jim Dumont wrestles him to the ground. Nichols is a junior from Cambridge, Maryland, and last year had 228 yards rushing. Another player who was redshirted, and that was back in '81. So Penn State with a lot of players that if they're not ready to play right away, get redshirted and then eventually come on to be outstanding football players.
Because John Williams, who is listed as the backup to DJ Dozier, was the starting fullback last year. And Dozier has that position now as tailback. We might see Williams back at fullback.
Sid Lewis is now in as a tailback. Lewis gets the handoff, and Lewis powers off to the right side for a first down. Matt Bachman made the tackle with some help from Dan Errico. Sid Lewis is a freshman, another redshirt candidate from Canton, Ohio. He was the state 100-meter champion in Ohio in track 2 years ago.
And the key block on that last play by Skeeter Nichols, the alternate fullback, number 24.
Joe Paterno continues to mix things up in the backfield. The only thing that has been consistent is the quarterback, Doug Strang. First and 10, Nittany Lions, 47-yard line of Rutgers. Sid Lewis tracks the right side, runs into Lionel Washington. Matt Bachman helping out on the tackle. It'll bring up a second down and long. After this game, Penn State will play Alabama. October 8th, that game will be in Beaver Stadium. Then they take on Syracuse, West Virginia, Boston College, Brown, Notre Dame, and Pittsburgh. They've already played number 1 Nebraska and number 3 Iowa, and in the ensuing weeks they'll take on number 4 Alabama and number 6 West Virginia. A highly competitive schedule. Second down and 6 for Penn State, and it's Dozier ripping through the line for a first down at the 31-yard line. Houston and Howard in the secondary made the stop.
Once again, a trap block, this time by number 54, Dick McGinnis, on Lionel Washington. There you see number 99. Nobody blocks him. There's 54 McGinnis, and that's just a fine trap block. Inside-out position, head to the inside. You want to turn the defensive end. Washington not closing as quickly as he should, and of course the Rutgers team not getting support from the inside, from that inside linebacker, in this case number 57, Mercer Hedgeman.
First and 10, Penn State, 31-yard line. Strang back to throw, has plenty of time, fires across the middle. Bow has it at the 10, Bow's at the 5, touchdown Penn State. Doug Strang hooking up with Kevin Bow for a touchdown pass, and the Nittany Lions now lead by 7.
Well, that's ideally what you want to do on offense. You want to run the ball 2 or 3 times, get those people in the secondary to start concerning themselves with the run, and then hit a receiver deep downfield. You'll see him hit him between the safeties now, cutting across the field. And there's Bill Houston and Paul Howard chasing in vain.
Gantitano comes on for the point after touchdown. The ball plays down. Again, Gantitano's kick is no good. Off to the right. So it remains a 7-point game. Penn State 26, Rutgers 19. That point may loom rather big later in this football game. We still have 3:51 to go in the third quarter of play, and those are the first points of the third quarter.
Very impressive drive by Penn State. They mixed it up well, and Strang was on target on that last drive. He did not have an exceptionally good first half, as the Rutgers defensive line did put him under pretty good pressure. They had 3 sacks in the first half. Good drive.
Kind of a misty afternoon at Giant Stadium. It's been a kind of a steady drizzle since midway in the second quarter of play. They call this frizz weather, Sam. And there are a couple of bundled up fans watching the action. It is definitely a raincoat day. But on the football field, it has been a hard-fought game. 26-19, Penn State leads, their biggest lead in the football game, 14-3. In the first quarter, Rutgers came back, scored a couple of touchdowns, briefly took the lead, 16-14, and then it's been seesaw ever since. 26-19, Penn State leads. James Shedneck handles the kickoff, 2 yards deep. Shedneck up the left side for the 25, and that's where Rutgers will take over. 1st and 10. Eric Hamilton in on the tackle for the Nittany Lions.
Important series for Rutgers. You know, several times last year against teams that were supposed to have superior personnel, like Auburn and West Virginia, Rutgers hung tough the first half, and then in the second half, the team with the supposedly superior talent came on to dominate them. That has to be in their minds right now. If they can generate a good drive or get some points on the board, they can erase those memories.
25-yard line, first down. Eric Hochberg right to the air, sets up, has time, throws for Baker, and Baker makes another dandy catch in Penn State territory at the 44. And that was just jump for the rebound. Who wants the ball? And Baker wanted it most.
Exceptional catch by Andrew Baker last week against Syracuse. Was it Baker that had the ball taken out of his hands? He was out-muscled for the ball. When that ball is underthrown, you've got to stop. You've got to come back and fight for the football. Try to catch it at its highest point. You saw him get up there. He had a little help from his helmet and his face mask as the ball actually bounced off it, but he held on to it.
Hochberg on first down, runs the option, keeps the ball, loses the football. Hooper is quickly there to recover the ball. A gain of 5 or 6 for Rutgers. Could have been a costly play, but Hooper, following Hochberg, dove on the ball. That's the second time today we've seen a running back recover a fumble, and it sure is important having someone following the play.
You bet. And you can't afford to turn over the football. Well, no team can. But Rutgers did fumble in the first half, and it led to Penn State's second touchdown, which put them ahead 14-3.
Baker wide to the left. Second down and 4. Hooper follows the open ground to the left side. Might be a little bit short of a first down. Really leveled by Rogers Alexander. Going back to last week for a moment, Sam, I now remember Boris Pendergrass being the one who lost the ball on a pass play, and Baker, you may remember, made another catch just like that, jumping up between 3 men before the first half ended. So Baker makes those kind of plays rather often.
Fine run by Hooper. That time he did it pretty much on his own. The play was designed to go off tackle. He broke to the outside and put a move downfield on someone, faked him out, and picked up good yardage.
30 inches, Hochberg keeps it, gets the first down. When you've got a big quarterback like Eric Hochberg, 6'3", 185 pounds, going right up the middle is not that difficult.
This is the moment of truth for an offensive lineman where you can't go outside. You've got to dig in and drive those defensive people back. You saw a good surge, and they made it pretty easy for Eric Hochberg. Give credit to the people in the trenches, in the pit. 3 people in the middle. For Rutgers, John Owens, Joe DiGilio, and Clement Udovich.
First down, Rutgers, 32-yard line of Penn State. Hochberg back to throw, looking for Baker, incomplete. That was a definite timing pattern. Hochberg released the ball before Baker even turned for the football, and it was just overthrown.
Well, that time he was under a little pressure, too. Perhaps he threw just a little bit prematurely as Scott Carraher, a backup defensive tackle, had a good rush on the quarterback.
1:38 left in the third quarter. 26-19, Penn State leads. Rutgers with 2nd and 10. Hochberg, play action pass, looking. Running out of the pocket and goes down. He had a man wide open in Alan Andrews, but he couldn't get him the football. And Rogers Alexander, a 6'2.5" sophomore, corralled Mr. Hochberg.
This is what you want to do. You want to get your defensive people to flush him out of the pocket. Now Andrews going over the middle, wide open. Had Hochberg had time to release the football, which he didn't. Obviously, had he seen Andrews, they would have had a completion because Andrews waving frantically. Hey, I'm free.
3rd and 15. Now the ball way back to the 37-yard line. Hochberg in trouble, rolling out of the pocket, dumps it off, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Bob White, a freshman from Freeport, Pennsylvania. Again, Rutgers moves the ball well, but this time they cough it up.
Well, White happened to be in the right spot at the right time, but watch the pressure that Hochberg is under. He spins out now. He turns his back to the people downfield, really doesn't know where the defenders are in that instance. That's what happens when a quarterback is under pressure, and quite frequently, that is when the quarterback will throw the interception.
So Penn State, with 50 seconds left in the third quarter and a 7-point lead, takes over at its own 39-yard line. Kenny Jackson goes in motion. DJ Dozier gets the handoff. Dozier turns the corner at 7 or 8 yards. Joe Corbin chased Dozier out of bounds.
Several times in this football game, we've mentioned that they've trapped Lionel Washington. That time, once again, the guard, Dick McGinnis, was pulling on the play. Washington learned his lesson. He closes down. He comes far to the inside. Let's see if we get a shot of Washington on this. Watch the back break to the outside. Outside of Washington. There you saw number 99, Washington, lying on the ground. He was determined not to be trapped again. Closed too fast, opened up the outside that time.
2nd and 3, Peter Nichols. Close to the midfield stripe. Matt Backman, Jim Dumont in on the stop. Looks like Penn State has a first down, and they indeed will move the chains up.
Once again, I would say an important series for the fact that we mentioned before, the fact that in the second half against teams that are supposed to be stronger and have more depth, Rutgers has eventually caved in. I think they want to convince themselves, hey, we don't have to cave in. We can play on an individual basis with these people.
Trying back to throw, looking for Jackson, lost it for Kenny Jackson, it's incomplete. Houston and Howard double teaming Kenny Jackson on that play. Jackson from South River, New Jersey, holds 22 school records at Penn State, second on the all-time receiving list to only Jack Curry. Curry has 117 receptions, Jackson 91. Kenny Jackson with over 1,700 yards in career receptions. Quite a player, first team All-American last year.
Did you mention that he has caught at least one pass in 35 of the 37 games he's played?
No, I did not.
That's the last stat we have on the man.
Okay, 2nd down and 10. Strang hands the ball off to Skeeter Nichols, kind of a delay handoff. Lionel Washington, Jeff Cardilla in on the stop for Rutgers. There's Alan Andrews talking to Carl Lombell, coach of the offensive ends. They're going over why he didn't get the football.
That's right. He can only see me. He was free on that last play that Rutgers had when they had the football, and Hochberg was under pressure. You remember we had a shot of Alan Andrews waving his arms downfield.
That is it for the third quarter of play. We still have 15 minutes of football remaining, and when we come back, Penn State will be leading the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers 26-19.
That extra mile.
For all you overdoers who push your bodies a bit too far, there's Bufferin.
I admit it, I overdid it. I kicked like a cheerleader. Now I could kick myself.
For all your minor aches and pains, there's Bufferin.
Bufferin has aspirin, the pain reliever so many sports doctors recommend. Plus, it's buffered to help protect against aspirin stomach upset.
I admit it. I overdid it. I didn't win. But I won't be a sore loser.
Bufferin, for when you overdo.
Back at Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. One of the fans enjoying his press kit for this afternoon's ball game. I'm Bruce Mack, along with me Sam DeLuca. And Sam, so far, it has been a pretty well-played game.
Yes, it has, and Rutgers still has a statistical edge in total yardage, 365 yards to 318 for Penn State. But Penn State has most of its yardage on the ground, which means they control the football.
50% on third down conversion so far today for Penn State. They have a 3rd and 8 at the Rutgers 48-yard line. And we want a new football. Doug Strang didn't like the feel of that ball. It was awfully wet, I guess. And he asked for another ball. Again, as we mentioned a couple moments ago, it's kind of a mist, a light rain falling. It has been falling since midway through the second quarter of play. Kenny Jackson wide right. One setback. Peter Nickel. Strang will put it up. Strang in trouble. Throws. It's incomplete. It hit an official in the back. Pressure came in the form of Jeff Cardilla. Flag down in the backfield. That usually means offensive holding.
Cardilla having an outstanding day for Rutgers. They switched him from guard in 1981. Let's see number 79 when he comes into your picture. And there's that young number 95, Clyde Woodley. Once again, it was he that put great pressure on Strang and caused him to throw prematurely and throw poorly at the official.
Holding was called in the offensive backfield. And Rutgers has the choice of taking the penalty or taking the down. I think they'll take the down. Rutgers refuses the penalty, and on 4th and 8, George Reynolds comes on to punt the ball away for the Nittany Lions. Back deep, James Chednet. Penn State not only has 4 yardage penalties, but they've been called for the more crucial penalties in this football game. Key times when you would not want to lose 5 or 15 yards. Reynolds back in punt formation. Chednet waits for the ball. He hopes to see it go into the end zone, and that's exactly what the ball does. So with 14:48 left in the football game, Rutgers will start out from their own 20-yard line, trailing 26-19.
I guess there's a flag on the field, but I was going to say that you can go back and look at every play as being important normally in a football game. But that punt going into the end zone is fairly important to Rutgers if the penalty goes with them, and they can start at the 20-yard line, giving Hochberg an opportunity to once again put the football in the air, something he's been doing all day with great success.
Well, the penalty is going to go against Rutgers, and that's not the kind of play you want to commit a penalty, because the ball is going into the end zone. You're not setting up for a return. And now penalties hurt Rutgers. The ball will go back to the 4-yard line.
Now Mr. Hochberg is going to have difficulty in putting the ball in the air. Ideally, he would want to hand off and get some more room, some breathing room, where he doesn't have to set up in the end zone and risk his safety.
Personal foul called against Rutgers. And now they will start from the 4 instead of the 20. Rutgers, in their last 3 possessions, have had their trouble. Hochberg hands off to Len Beleza. Beleza trying to give Hochberg some room to work offensively, and he gets 3 or 4 off the right side. Matt Antonio in on the tackle for Penn State. 2nd down, 7. Rutgers with 18 first downs today. Penn State with 15. But Penn State still leads by 7. Hochberg back to throw, swings it out to Hooper. Hooper across the line of scrimmage, gets to the 12-yard line, 3 yards short of a first down. Harry Hamilton made the tackle. Bob White also.
That was a screen pass. He threw it off to Hooper, but he had several linemen out there in front of him. Pretty good yardage on the play. Timing was not bad between the line and the receiver and the quarterback. The acting on the part of those offensive linemen, very important. They've got to convince the defensive people that it is indeed a pass and that they should generate their efforts toward getting the passer and not moving out into the flat.
3rd and 2. Hochberg swings it out to Hooper. And Hooper is knocked down immediately, short of a first down. Matt Antonio was over there to make the big hit. And on 4th down, Rutgers has a punting situation.
Well, He's that inside linebacker, Mass Antonio, number 84. Watch him read the screen. See, he's looking at those offensive linemen, and he was in position to get there ahead of Joe DiGilio, who tried to get the block. DiGilio never had a chance. Good read by Mass Antonio. He was talking about that acting. You saw him read the line that time.
Liska back in his own end zone.
Nice snap.
Penn State setting up for return. Liska hits it high. Comes down to Kevin Bow at his own 45-yard line. He's to Rutgers 44. And that was a risky catch on the part of Kevin Bow. But Penn State with marvelous field position at the 45-yard line of Rutgers. They lead by 7 with 12:51 to play. The Lions of Penn State at the Rutgers 45-yard line. They lead 26-19. Still a lot of time left. 12:51, fourth quarter. T.J. Dozier checks the right side. Cuts between a couple of people. Gets to the 42. Brought down by Carl Howard with some help from Jim Dumont.
Pretty good pursuit. And, of course, the people in the secondary, very good coverage on the play. You know, we were talking before about the psychological edge that Penn State has had over the years because of their many winning seasons. And Kenny Jackson, their All-America wide receiver, said that suddenly everyone sees that Penn State has lost 3 games, and now they are no longer afraid of us. And he says he's seen evidence in the play of their opponents, that they're much more aggressive and not as easily intimidated, certainly not tentative anymore.
Jackson goes in motion on 2nd down and 6. Dozier straight up the middle. Dozier brought down by George Piquel, younger brother of Bill Piquel, who's now with the Los Angeles Raiders. Lionel Washington helping on that tackle. It will bring up a 3rd down and about 3. We had 39 points in the first half. We have only 6 so far in this second half. Those 6, a Penn State touchdown. Kevin Bow catching a 31-yard pass from Doug Strang. 3rd and 3 at the Rutgers 38-yard line. Bow wide left. Strang rolls to his right, looking for Bow. And he has it. Did he catch it inbounds? Yes, he did. They spot the ball at the 5-yard line. Gutty catch on the part of Kevin Bow.
You know, Ken, Bill Houston comes over and makes contact in midair. Had he not made contact and forced the receiver out of bounds, he may have come down out of bounds. Let's see if it works that way. You see, he's right on the sideline. Houston actually knocks him out of bounds. There's no telling where his feet might have come down, although it looked like he might have been able to keep his feet inbounds. But it's one of those plays, you know, you never know what would have happened.
Well, he has to keep 1 foot inbounds, Sam, in that play. Do you think he had 1 foot inbounds?
Probably, but he was hit in midair, so there was no question. The official never had to watch his feet as Houston drove him out of bounds after catching the football.
It was awfully close. In any event, Penn State has a 1st and goal at the 5. 3 men in the Penn State backfield behind Doug Strang. T.J. Dozier. He's to the 2. Errico in on the tackle for Rutgers. Intensity. Indeed, there's intensity out there today.
Well, Strang, not especially impressive statistically. Now 9 for 22 for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. But he's come up with some timely passes, and that, of course, is the key. And, of course, the running game, they've been very successful on the ground, has helped considerably.
2nd down and goal at the 3. Mumford did not make it. 3rd down and 3 with 10:41 and the clock ticking. Penn State leads by 7. Big defensive series for Rutgers.
Penn State had 253 yards last week against Temple, and they're close to that mark right now. At the moment, they have 231 yards on the ground.
Dozier has 138 of those yards rushing. 3rd and 3 at the 3. Full house backfield. Strang, back to pass. Throws, incomplete. A great defensive play by Dan Errico. A diving defensive play where he deflected the football at the last moment.
Watch number 20 come into your picture. This time he has pretty good pass protection. not under great pressure, although Dumont does get his hands up. And there you see number 20 just flashing across your screen. You never did see his number, but believe us, that was Errico that deflected the football.
Antonio will try a field goal from 19 yards. They'll spot it at the 9-yard line. Plus 10 of the end zone. 19-yard attempt. Ball placed down. Kick up. And a kick is good. So Penn State has widened their lead to 10 with 10 minutes even left in the football game. Penn State 29, Rutgers 19.
Now playing on ColecoVision, Mr. Do and Time Pilot, two of the best new arcade games for the best system made. This is Time Pilot, a battle with aircraft from the past and the future. Homing missile! Got him! Uh-oh! Ooh, bomber! And this is Mr. Do. Mow a path to his fruit and start picking, but don't get picked off. Powerball! Nice shot! Mr. Do and Time Pilot, now playing on ColecoVision. The best system in town keeps getting better.
Getty, I take my cap off to you. You're selling regular gasoline at a great price. Getty, I take my cap off to you. Your Getty Gold motor oil helps protect my engine even when it's 105 in the shade.
People everywhere are taking their caps off to Getty. Because Getty's got the grades of gasoline for just about any car on the road today.
Getty, I take my cap off to you.
Take your cap off to Getty.
10 minutes even left in the ball game. Giant Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Pretty good crowd on hand.
Does she have one of those new hairdos where your hair is supposed to look wet, Bruce, or was it indeed wet from the rain?
I'm not sure.
What do you call that? The straggly type hairdo?
I really don't know. Could have been a perm. 29-19, a 10-point game with only 10 minutes to play. And Sam, if you're Rutgers right now, you've got to start thinking about putting the ball in the end zone.
Well, and to do that, it looks like they're probably going to put it in the air, as they have 271 yards via the pass and 103 yards on the ground. Eric Hochberg, I think, has been exceptional. 18 for 34, 293 yards. He's been throwing long. He's not dumping them off.
Sam, Rutgers has had the problem all season long. They've been able to move the ball, but they haven't gotten the six when they've needed it.
Well, that's what Frank Burns said during the week, that his team has not been tough enough in short yardage situations.
There's Penn State's last scoring drive. Montgomery boosted deep. Shedneck 2 yards deep. Hesitated for a moment. Decided to bring it out. And Shedneck lucky to bring it across the 20 to the 23. He who hesitates is lost.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work on kick and punt returns because it frequently allows the blocking time to develop, especially on punt returns. But that time he was rather fortunate to get it out to the 23, 24-yard line.
Eric Hochberg leads out the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Fullback Vernon Williams, tailback Albert Smith, receivers Pendergrass and Baker. Baker goes in motion. Hochberg back to throw on first down, looking long for Baker. He's got it. Baker's at the 30, at the 20. He is gone. Touchdown. One play, and Rutgers is back in the ball game. 76 yards.
Boy, exceptional. Eric Hochberg lying on the ground. Excellent pass protection. They were blitzing. They were sending two linebackers. When you send your linebackers, you know you have man coverage. There you see number 97 coming, number 52. They pick him up. The setback stays in, picks up the blitzing linebacker. Man coverage downfield. Pass right on target. Touchdown, Rutgers. Hochberg, however, still lying on the ground. He was hit as he released the football. Whoa, what a day Andrew Baker has had. Baker had 4 for 63 yards prior to that reception. I'm sorry, 6 for 226 yards right now, and 2 touchdowns.
Eric Hochberg is down on the ground, and his father, with the blue hat, the Penn State director of medicine, is also out there, taking a look at the quarterback from State College, Pennsylvania. We mentioned earlier in the game, this is very much a family affair. Eric Hochberg's dad, of course, works with the Penn State football team. Eric elected to go to Rutgers and not Penn State. They were both looking forward to this football game, and now Hochberg, after throwing a beautiful pass to Andrew Baker down on the field, and appears to be getting up and appears to be perhaps okay.
Andrew Baker going in motion, breaks up field. He's got single coverage. That's what you want. That's why you normally put a man into motion. He winds up in single coverage on Darryl Giles. Out, has a step on him, but really decent coverage by Giles. It was just an outstanding pass by Eric Hochberg, and obviously Mr. Baker had a good reception, kept his eyes on the football.
9 minutes, 44 seconds left in the game. Rutgers now trailing 29-25 from Giant Stadium. This is Rutgers football on Madison Square Garden Cablevision. Bruce Beck and Sam DeLuca, the crowd roaring for Eric Hochberg, who is up under his own strength and walking off the field. Hochberg just has delivered a bomb to Andrew Baker to put Rutgers back in the ball game. Hochberg 369 yards in the air today, 2 touchdowns. Whether he'll be back or not, we're not sure.
Take out those 2 interceptions, and it's a phenomenal day. It's an outstanding day no matter how you look at it. Every once in a while, when under pressure, he throws into a crowd, but here's Jack LaPrairie.
Rutgers will go for 2. Jack LaPrairie in at quarterback. Baker wide left. LaPrairie rolls to his left. Look, throws. And it is incomplete. Ball was picked off by Mark Robinson. So Rutgers trying for 2, but they come up empty. However, Rutgers back in the game, down only by 4.
Ball is thrown to Albert Smith, number 33. Watch him. I think it's just stolen from him. Well, everybody's got a shot at it. Actually, the defender had a much better shot because he had his body in front of the football. Smith, coming at an angle, had to catch it in his hands. He probably had it in his hands, but the Penn State defender, obviously in that position, was able to outmuscle him for the ball.
There's a look at the entire story. Penn State by 4 several times in this game. They've given indications that they might be able to break the game open, but each time Rutgers has had the ability to come back and hang tough. A lot of time left to play. 9:44 in this football game.
Obviously, Frank Burns not playing for the tie. He wants to win. He wants to beat Mr. Paterno.
There's Eric Hochberg on the bench, being attended to by Hy Kopelman, Rutgers team doctor. This game started off very quickly. In the first quarter, everything was kept on the ground. The clock moved continually. And since that time, it has been a long football game, but certainly an exciting one. Angstead kicking off. Kevin Bow handles it at the 5, 10, 20-yard line. Bow to the 30, and look out. Bow at the Rutgers territory at the 42-yard line.
Well, certainly that could be demoralizing for Rutgers, but they are not about to quit. They did not quit last week against Syracuse. They may not even be demoralized because there's a flag on the play. Now let's see, people get bunched up, gets a block or 2, a missed tackle, I believe, by Errico, and he's off and running, but the penalty goes against Penn State. Big break.
Penalty on the return against Penn State, blocking below the weight. And Penn State will take over from their own 11 instead of in Rutgers territory. Eric Hochberg on the bench right now. Jack LaPrairie warming up. We're not sure who we will see in the next Rutgers offensive possession. In any event, Nittany Lions have the ball at their own 11. They still lead by 4. 9:36 left in a wild one. Strang back to throw. Has time. Forced out of the pocket. And gets to the 17-yard line. Matt Bachman made the tackle for Rutgers. And Lionel Washington also in on the stop.
Well, one of the reasons that he had good pass protection and one of the reasons he could not find a receiver downfield is because Penn State kept its tight end and setback in to block. We had indicated before Rutgers was putting on a good pass rush. They got to Strang 3 times in the first half for sacks. That time he couldn't find a receiver and eventually ran with the football. There's Mr. Hochberg on the bench.
Second down and 3. Kenny Jackson goes in motion. Dozier. First down. Fine individual move by DJ. Jim Dumont made the tackle. Dozier over 140 yards on the game.
Jim Dumont, one of the outstanding linebackers in the country. Oh, lets that man get to his feet. Still gets in on the tackle, but too much yardage and a first down on the play. Of course, when that replacement blocker or the other back comes out at you and throws his body at your legs, in a situation like that in the middle of the line, there's not much you can do except try to go over the top.
Dozier this time is stopped for a loss of a couple yards. The penetration came from George Piquel, the nose guard. There's Jack LaPrairie warming up on the sideline.
This time, the Rutgers linebackers do fill. You see people coming up, closing in. There's Jim Dumont also in on the play. That might have been the thing he should have done on the last play. Hung back a little bit too long. Linebacker wants to get right in there and plug the hole, fill the gap, not give the running back any room to maneuver.
Second down and 11 at the 23. Play action pass. Frank sets up a swing pass to Dozier. Dozier to the 30, breaks the tackle, close to a first down, up to the Rutgers, rather the Penn State 35-yard line. Matt Bachman again pursuing the play.
Screen pass. Watch the offensive line for Penn State release after initially blocking those defensive people. You see the running back move out to the flat. There you see a number of people out in front of him. Number 54, Dick McGinnis. Running back breaks to the outside.
This is the closest game played between Rutgers and Penn State since back in 1952. A game Penn State won 7-6. Penn State has won 10 in a row in this series. Frank looking long for Bow, and he throws it out of bounds. Rutgers has not given Penn State the long pass all day long.
No, and Mr. Strang shouldn't have gone for the long pass on that last play. He should have been content to take the shorter pass, which he had. He had one of his backs coming out of the backfield in good position to catch the football.
The only pass that was for more than 30 yards was the pass from Strang to Bow, the 31-yard touchdown pass in the third quarter. Rutgers, on the other hand, has come up with several big plays, including touchdown passes of 50 and 76 yards from Hochberg to Andrew Baker. Second down, Sid Lewis off the left side, racked up by Errico, and also controlled by Lionel Washington.
Fine play by Lionel Washington. Took on the blocker, disengaged, got rid of him, shed the block, and made the tackle. Forced the running back to the sideline, gave Errico time to come up and assist on the tackle.
Third down, 6 yards to go for Penn State at their own 39-yard line. 7 minutes, 5 seconds left in the football game. Penn State 29, Rutgers 25.
Big play.
Sid Lewis, wing right. Strang, straight drop back. Throws across the middle, complete to Skeeter Nichols. First down. He's at the 50-yard line. Jim Piquel made the tackle.
Well, Rutgers gambling a little bit. They sent the linebacker, the inside linebacker, number 59, Matt Bachman. Watch him coming on the play. Jim Dumont dropping back into coverage, but you'll see that no one on the receiver, number 24, Skeeter Nichols, the backup or alternate fullback, and he gets the first down. That would have been the position that Matt Bachman would have been in had he been in pass coverage. You gamble on the blitz, that time they lost.
First and 10 at the 50. Dozier, big yardage, first down. DJ crosses the field. Dozier at the 10, touchdown. A 50-yard touchdown run by DJ Dozier, and Penn State opens up another big lead.
Well, that's the second big running play that they've had. In their first scoring drive, Mumford, the fullback, broke for 40 yards. You see Rutgers perhaps overreacting, everybody trying to make that tackle on the line of scrimmage. Bill Houston gets faked out of position, somebody else just did poorly down there. And there you see him. That's Skeeter Nichols going for 50 yards or more and a touchdown.
DJ Dozier.
Dozier. Sorry. Got 24 and 42 backwards.
So the Nittany Lions now lead by 10. Ken Antonio on for the point after touchdown. Ball placed down, kick is up, and the kick is good. So every time Rutgers claws back, Penn State opens things up again.
Some good running by Dozier now. Makes the cut, breaks back, across field. He put a good move on. That was Bill Houston that he faked out there. But those were some pretty fancy steps, some good footwork, and now he puts on the speed. Directs his man downfield, who also gets a block. That was All-America Ken Jackson that picked up the final block for Mr. Dozier.
193 yards in the game for DJ Dozier. 3 consecutive games now. The freshman has gone over the 100-yard mark, and he has 2 touchdowns to his credit. Frank Burns must go back to the drawing board. He trails by 11, 6 minutes, 9 seconds to play. Rutgers' problem has not been moving the football. It has been stopping the Penn State offense. Eric Hochberg on the bench. Went down, taking a big hit on the touchdown pass to Andrew Baker.
Looks like he's not going to come back in the football game the way he's sitting there. Did not get a report on the type of injury he sustained.
Didn't look like he was ready to come back in, did it? Montgomery will kick off. Montgomery sails another beauty. Shed next 6 yards deep. Downs the ball. It will come out to the 20-yard line. Still 6 minutes and 9 seconds to play, and Penn State leading by 11 points. Joe Paterno, head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions. His club leads by 11 with 6:09 to play. Jack LaPrairie starts at quarterback for Rutgers with Eric Hochberg on the bench, shaken up after a pass play just a couple of moments ago. And LaPrairie's pass is incomplete, intended for Albert Smith.
Pass on target, perhaps a little bit too much on the football, however, tough for him to handle.
Well, Eric Hochberg set a new Rutgers single-game passing record today with over 360 yards. The final stat, 369. Rich Policastro held the old record of 309 back in 1968. Rich Policastro now a radio broadcaster. Pass by LaPrairie is complete to Alan Andrews. Andrews gets up to the 25-yard line.
Well, you can't say that LaPrairie doesn't learn from his mistakes. On that first play from scrimmage, he had too much on the football. The pass was thrown too hard for Albert Smith to handle. He took something off that last one.
3rd down, 5. 5:38 left in the game. Clock ticking down. Rutgers needs to keep possession of the football. LaPrairie, straight drop back. Has time, throws across the middle, and it's incomplete. In and out of the hands of Scott Radicek. And Rutgers will have to punch it away.
He's throwing for Boris Pendergrass. You know, you take out the sacks, Bruce. Don't hold me to my arithmetic, but I think we have about 900. There you go. We do have. We have 900 total yards in this football game, and you take out the sacks, and we're closer to 950 because Hochberg was thrown 3 times for 22 yards, Strang 3 times for 23 yards.
Gary Liska back to punt for Rutgers on 4th down, and he hits a short punt. It's high but short. Kevin Bow hanging on to that football ever so carefully at his own 42. Penn State with the lead and the clock on their side now, an 11-point lead with 5:19 to play, and they'd like to play ball control, ground control football.
You bet. You know, you have to give Frank Burns and his staff credit for formulating what was obviously a good game plan. They had problems in their secondary. Penn State did. That's why they made those changes that we talked about before, moving Mark Robinson to the outside and Mike Zordich from outside linebacker. Rutgers has capitalized on those changes and the weakness in the secondary today.
Straight up the middle on 1st down. Rutgers still playing with a lot of intensity. They know if they get the football back, they've got plenty of time to cut the lead down. They trail by only 11.
Not only did they make the changes on the outside, but Darryl Giles, the other safety, the weak side safety, was also recently inserted into the lineup. So you had a lot of changes, and that was the place that Frank Burns thought he could go ahead and attack. There's one of those. I guess it is a turn, huh? It looks straggly to me, no matter what you call it.
Okay, second down and 10. In motion, George Alpert. Straight up the middle goes Sid Lewis, breaks a couple of tackles, gets to the 50-yard line. It will bring up a 3rd and 3.
You know, when you throw as often as Eric Hochberg has thrown today, and he's thrown deep, you're going to complete those long passes. And when you run as often as Penn State has run today, you're going to break one for the long game. Once again, the battle in the middle, pretty good job by the middle of that Rutgers defensive line. Good job by number 94 for Rutgers, Randy Hennis, who is now in as the nose tackle.
3rd and 3 at the 50. 4 minutes to play in the football game. Frank pitches back to Nichols. Skeeter has a first down, and he's down to the Rutgers 39-yard line. Carl Howard made perhaps a saving tackle at the 39.
Penn State continues to have success running with a football. They now have over 300 yards on the ground. She doesn't look very happy,
no, I don't
she?
think so. That looks like a diehard Rutgers rooter. 3:42 to play. 1st and 10, Nittany Lions, Rutgers 39-yard line. Straight up the middle, Skeeter Nichols. 2 or 3 yards on the play.
Well, they have been alternating. Frank Burns and his staff have. Ted Cottrell, defensive people. Randy Hennis now in at the nose tackle position. We saw some outstanding play from Clyde Woodley earlier in the game, and that time a fine play by Hennis, who upended the ball carrier.
Second down, call it 7 at the 36. 3:09 to play. Penn State 36, Rutgers 25. And off to Lewis. Lewis gets to the 30-yard line. Just shy of another first down. Mercer Hedgeman, Jim Dumont made the tackle.
Now, this is a situation where it appears at the moment as if Penn State has taken the upper hand, has worn out, perhaps, if you will, except that phrase, the Rutgers defense. But they certainly have not stopped fighting, I'll tell you that.
3rd and 1, Penn State. 30-yard line of Rutgers. Peter Nichols, lone setback, first down, and Penn State will keep possession of the football, and the clock will continue to wind down, and it's beginning to look rather bleak for the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Next week, Rutgers will take on the Black Knights of Army, a club that's had a little bit of trouble so far this season, but it always proves to be an interesting matchup.
Situation like this, where you want to force a turnover, you want to make something happen, it's where you have to change your philosophy and go to a pressure attack. Split your linebackers, try to force a turnover, come up with a big play.
On 1st and 10, Penn State keeps the ball on the ground. DJ Dozier gets to the 26-yard line. Jeff Cardilla, who has played just an outstanding game for Rutgers, made the stop. Dozier getting up near 200 yards in the game. He has 196 yards on 26 carries.
Yeah, they also made some changes on their offensive unit. We talked about the changes on defense. One of those changes, they moved Todd Moles, the offensive guard, from defensive tackle before that Cincinnati game. And if you watch his stance, he looks like he's still in a defensive lineman stance.
That's number 81 for Penn State. His name is George Alpert. He's from Livingston High School in Livingston, New Jersey. Signed a professional baseball career in the Cleveland Indians organization. Played for 2 years and now has enrolled in Penn State. It was a school that recruited him out of high school. He was an all-stater in football and baseball. And after a couple of years playing pro ball, decided to go to school, go to Penn State, and he is now a freshman for Coach Joe Paterno, and they're expecting excellent things from him for the rest of the season. Eric Hochberg being helped off the field. Hochberg finished a marvelous game, was knocked out after a touchdown pass to Andrew Baker. Hochberg finishes the day 19 of 35, a school record 369 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
He obviously has a, well, there you can see that he's got an ace bandage and an ice pack on his left knee. So it was a leg injury that he sustained.
.139 to play, 2nd down and 7, Penn State, 25-yard line of Rutgers. And straight up the middle, Skeeter Nichols. Good second effort by Skeeter, gets about 5 yards. Next week, Penn State returns home. They entertain number 4, undefeated Alabama. Things will get awfully tough again for the Nittany Lions. 3 weeks from today, they take on number 6 West Virginia. They finish the slate with Notre Dame and Pittsburgh. So Joe Paterno, even in what you might call a rebuilding year, has a long way to go to get out of this season.
Once again, Eric Hochberg leaving the field, and he obviously is in some discomfort and pain the way he's limping. Really an outstanding day. You know, statistics can be misleading when you say 19 for 35 for 369 yards. It doesn't tell the whole story, because when a running back catches the ball behind the line of scrimmage on a dump-off pass, it goes as a pass. And if he picks up 50 yards after catching that ball, again, it goes in the quarterback's stats. Those were not the type of passes that Eric Hochberg completed today. He was throwing long and often downfield.
And the other thing, Sam, the quality of leadership is something to talk about, too. He was a leader out there all game long. He exuded confidence. He kept the team motoring on offense. And certainly Eric Hochberg and the entire Rutgers football team, for that matter.
Everybody.
Nothing to be ashamed of.
Have to get credit for that offensive performance, because they gave him pass protection and they kept in the backs at times to help with that goal. So the coaches have to get some credit also.
Sid Lewis gets a first down for Penn State. Flag down on the play. Joe Paterno, not the kind of coach that rolls things up. And he is keeping the ball on the ground, and I would expect that for the remainder of the football game.
There was a line, Bruce, in one of the New York newspapers, one of the columns about Paterno not being as gracious in losing as he has been in winning over the years, and that simply is not true. He is a gracious or a gentleman, winning or losing.
I'll tell you something else about Joe Paterno. I was thumbing through the Penn State media guide last night, which is over 190 pages, and of all the stats and all the impressive things that are written about Paterno and his team, a quote really struck me last night, and it was this. Paterno, quote, "People ask me what our best football team has been, and I tell them I don't know yet. Our best team will be the one that produces the most people who lead active, productive lives in our society." Gives you an idea of what he's all about.
Many other coaches would measure their best team by the number of people that went on to play pro football.
The other thing Joe Paterno takes great pride in is the amount of athletes that have gotten degrees.
Yeah, it's something he always talks about, and incidentally talking about the people he lost from last season that went on to, at least with pro teams. You've got Blackledge with the Kansas City Chiefs, Kurt Warner with Seattle, center Bill Conti with the Browns, split end Greg Garrity with the Steelers, tight end Mike McCloskey with the Oilers, and guard Pete Spiros with Seattle. Dave Laub, the tackle, was cut recently by the Lions.
Sam, if you're Coach Frank Burns, what are you thinking right now?
I say continue to play with pride and not quit. That's about all you can tell your people with 36 seconds remaining and the score 36-25. It's something that we saw Rutgers do extremely well last week. Came back in the second half. They were down 14-3 in this football game and went in at halftime just down by 1 point. So they certainly have fought back and played a good, hard, tough football game.
36 seconds left in the ball game. Penn State 36, Rutgers 25. At halftime, Penn State led 20-19. They increased their lead to 26-19 in the third quarter. Rutgers came back, set the lead to 29-25 at one point, and then Penn State added a 50-yard touchdown run by DJ Dozier, and that is the margin currently 36-25. Dozier with 196 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Second down at 13 or 14, and trying content to just run the clock down, and this football game will be history, and Penn State will improve to 2-3, and Rutgers will drop to 1-3.
Because that's the one downer as far as Rutgers is concerned, the amount of yardage that they have given up on the ground to Penn State. That's an awful lot of yardage.
Sam, I think if Rutgers comes out of this game thinking ahead, though, to the next couple of games and thinks back at some of the positive things they saw in this game, they can build on those positive things.
Yeah, especially the performance of Eric Hoxford. You know, your quarterback, he may not get all of the publicity in every game for you, but he has to be your most important player. When your quarterback is the most player on a team, I think you need to look for another quarterback. Eric Hochberg was certainly that man.
And we're with you every week with highlights of what's happening on the Rutgers University campus. Today we'll have Coach Frank Burns with the Penn State highlights. We'll take a look at Army, the up-and-coming opponent this weekend. We have two outstanding players, Billy Houston and Carl Howard. We'll be chatting with them with highlights of their activities, all coming up here on the Rutgers Sports Review. Thank you for joining us this week. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment. Sports Review, and as always, our very special guest, Coach Frank Burns. Coach, an exciting ball game, high-scoring ball game, interesting in so many ways, and of course catastrophic in one particular way. It's been a heck of a weekend for you.
Yeah, it's been a tough weekend, no doubt about that, Pat. You know, losing Rusty Hochberg is certainly a blow to Rutgers football, and I feel real sorry for Rusty because I think he's got a great future in front of him, and he was just coming into his own. He's developing a lot of confidence in himself. He's always had a very good arm. He's just starting to read coverage well, and now he's not going to be able to play the rest of this football season.
That's a shame, certainly for you as well as for Rusty. What's the status of his condition now?
Well, he had surgery. The operation was very successful. He had a very serious knee injury, and knowing Rusty, he'll work very hard to rehabilitate himself, and hopefully he'll be back next year in the Scarlet uniform.
Looking for next week quarterback position. Jack LaPrairie comes back in, obviously.
Well, yeah, and that's a positive thing, Pat. You know, it's not like we're going to take a quarterback that's only played a few plays in a football game. Jack was a starting quarterback all last year. He started this year. He's a seasoned quarterback, and I'm certain that he'll do very well for us.
Your overall view of the Penn State game, taking the Hochberg incident aside?
Well, yeah, I'll be very honest about it. I'm very disappointed. I felt there was a game that, we possibly could have had. And again, you got to give Penn State credit. They've got a lot of good football players, and when they had to do something, they did it. Their last touchdown drive was a great effort on their part. However, looking at it from our point of view, I think we had a couple breakdowns which gave them long gains, which hurt us badly. And I really feel that our kids overall played well enough to win that football game, with the exception of a few breakdowns.
Some of the negative sides of the type plays you want to change around, the concentration of the players or whatever?
Well, basically, Pat, it's allowing a team to get that long run, a long touchdown. For example, Dozier's run. We had several people overcommitted, just a little bit too aggressive. He's a great runner. He went off left tackle, straight up, made a real good cut, on our free safety, and then broke again sharp to his right, went in for a 50-yard score. And because he's a fine runner, I won't take anything away from him. The kid is a great runner, and I'm sure he'll prove that. He's got 3 more years to play at Penn State. But again, our kid's just a little bit over-anxious and just leaving their area too soon, and consequently they get a 50-yard touchdown instead of maybe a 15-yard run. And the same thing happened to us on several other plays in that football game.
On the positive side, some of the good things you saw?
Well, on the positive side, number one, I think our kids were more aggressive than they've been, this football season. And I think even though we did lose, I think this will help build the confidence of our kids, and they realize that they can play good football, but they also realize that they've got to work to correct their mistakes.
Well, Coach, let's take a look at those highlights from the Penn State game and see some of the positives as well as some of the negatives from last weekend. On the first drive of the game, Dozier goes over the top of the TD, making it 7-0. And that's, of course, first quarter action. Here comes Tom Angstadt getting 3 from 37 yards out. That culminated 10 plays and 51-yard drive.
Yeah, Tommy's really done very well for us, and he's getting more confidence each week.
Here's a 2nd and 12 from the 32. Hochberg fumbles. The balls were recovered by Steve Sefter at the Rutgers 29, and this leads to the second TD. On a 2nd and 6 from the 6, Strang passes to wide receiver Kevin Bow for the touchdown. The point after touchdown is good. It's 14-3 at that particular point. And on the last play of the first quarter, Hochberg bootlegs right, and he's faced with a 3 and 2 from the 14, sweeps right for the touchdown. We'll see a nice replay on this.
This was a, as you said, Pat, a 3rd and 2 situation. Rusty did a real fine job of faking on this play and went into the end zone. He had Alan Andrews out there, and really could have thrown the ball to Andrews, and he could have walked in.
That made the score 14-9. In the second quarter, early, a 1st and 10 from the 50. Hochberg passes to Andrew Baker for that big TD-er, a 50-yarder.
Right, that pass was right on the money. Baker didn't have to break stride at all, Pat.
We have a real nice replay to watch Andrew Baker haul it in and go the remainder of the 50 yards.
Right. You know, something I was very happy about, Rusty, by and large, had very good protection all day. I think our offensive line had a lot to do with the, the fine passing day that Rusty had.
On a 3rd and 10 from the 48, Penn State's 48, Hochberg pass. He's intercepted. Linebacker Scott Radisek picks it off.
This fellow's a real fine football player, Radisek. He had a great day against us, both against the run and the pass.
Been one of the fine linebackers of the year. 6 plays later, Nick Gancitano kicks a 36-yard field goal, making it 17-16. All of a sudden cutting that 2-point lead that Rutgers was able to get. And later in the quarter, Gancitano kicks a second field goal. This one is 43 yards out, making it 20-16. And now with under a minute left in the second quarter, on a 1st and 10 from your 34, Hochberg passes to Baker for a 33-yard gain. Nice one there.
Baker had a great day. I think he had 200 yards in receptions, but I wish we could get that every week.
Now he goes to Gary Bedeau for 15 yards.
This young Bedeau, he went in, spelled Baker, and Bedeau is not a young kid. He's a senior. He's a very good backup person.
And now to Boris Pendergrass for a 10-yard gain.
Very fine sideline pass.
Up here's Tom going for the 25-yard field goal. That makes the half end 20-19, a close ball game at that particular point, and I'm sure all the Rutgers fans were really excited about the situation. The only scoring coming in the third quarter is by Penn State with a 1st and 10 from the 31. Strang passes to Ball, crossing over the middle, and he gets in for it. Here's the PAT. Oh, no, the PAT, by the way, was no good. That is the Gancitano 19-yard field goal, which made the score 29-19. And here comes the kind of the tragic play of the day. Great and yet difficult to take.
It was a great play, Pat. And, in that Baker took a great pass from Hochberg for a TD, but I would take it back because this is the play that Rusty was injured on.
Now, we have 2 replays on this that we're going to watch. This, of course, as you say, is the one that Rusty gets hurt and will be missing the rest of the season with. However, he had a record, the longest collegiate TD pass play in Giant Stadium history, and it gave Hochberg 367 passing yards for the day, a new Rutgers record, the old one held by Rich Policastro, 309 yards against Colgate in 1968. Look at him haul that in. On the money, right on the fingertips.
Well, there's no doubt that he's, I think, an outstanding receiver, and I think he has to be ranked with with the better receivers in the country. We were fortunate we got man coverage right here. This is Giles, their free safety on Baker. Baker's a pretty tough guy to handle man-to-man, especially on a deep type of a route. Here he stops momentarily. Giles stops. He turns on the juice, and that's the end of that.
And of course, on a 1st and 10 from the 50, DJ Dozier went for a 50-yard touchdown after this to make the final score 36-25. As we said, a very exciting game, a lot of high points. Certainly, I think during most of that game, you had to be looking with a great deal of pride in seeing this young fellow who had kind of begun to mature during the last couple of games of the season. And then all of a sudden, you find it goes the other way. Did you know how serious it was? Because he walked off the field.
I certainly didn't. I thought maybe he had just strained ligaments because, as you say, Pat, he walked off the field with just a slight limp. But again, he's a very tough kid.
Coach, you had one other serious injury to Billy Bechner. What's the status on his condition?
Well, I'd like to say Bechner was fine and would play against Army this week, Pat, but I can't say that. He had a slight tear to a ligament in the knee. had minor surgery. He was scoped, and he'll probably be back in 2 weeks.
That new type of surgery, the orthoscopic surgery, is incredible because you're talking about a knee injury that years ago would mean you're out for the rest of the season. Here they can literally get him back on his feet playing within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, really, it amazes me that a kid like that can be scoped with a torn ligament and come back and play in 2 weeks. And, you know, prior to the time of this type of surgery, he would be finished for the year.
We're going to take a look at the highlights for this weekend's game with Army. We'll see what Army has to offer against Rutgers, and that's all coming up here on the Rutgers Sports Review. Stay with us. We'll be back after this message.
He is Scarlet Knight country. For 1983, that means an exciting season of Rutgers football as the Scarlet Knights take on some of the top teams in the nation. Don't miss any of this challenging schedule. For information on individual game and group tickets, call 201-932-2766. That's 201-932-2766 for Rutgers football.
We're back here on the Rutgers Sports Review. As always, our guest, Coach Frank Burns. Coach, Army, they're 1-3, of course, coming into this ball game this weekend. How are they, in your view, as far as the scouts are concerned?
Well, number one, you know, Pat, they have a new coach this year, Jim Young, who had a very successful tenure at Purdue. And, you know, Jim is a very hard-working guy and a guy I think that can instill great spirit in his squad. And that's pretty obvious, you know, watching the films of Army playing it. Their defensive team is a very aggressive football team. They go at you real tough and cause problems for you. There's no doubt about that. Offensively, they're not real big, and I think that's a problem that they have. But they do have good speed, especially in their wide receivers. Their quarterback, Ifhol, they've had a little problem with quarterback injuries over the last 2 weeks, but their quarterback, Healy, is a very capable passer. And Army always plays very well at home.
Well, we have Rob Healy and Bill Turner on some of the highlights. As you mentioned, they've both been injured. Healy more than likely possibly will be the starter for this week. Insofar as going into West Point, you say they play well at home. Is that a problem for a visiting team, for you in particular?
Well, I think it's always a problem when you play West Point up at, you know, at West Point. I'd much rather play them at our place. There's no doubt about that. You know, they get the entire core up there. It's very hard to hear offensively or even your defensive calls, but it presents a problem.
Any different than any other away game?
I would say it is different than most away games because of the crowd noise in the stadium.
And the aura of being at West Point.
Well, that's possible, but it's the West Point kids themselves. I think they seem to play much better football when they're at home than they do away.
We're going to see some of the football they've been playing this season thus far. We have some of the highlights as we'll take a look at some action from Rob Healy and from Bill Turner. Rob Healy going to Dave Pratt, the fullback, right here on the first pass. Gets a nice gain out of it as he's knocked out of bounds.
I think Healy's looks like a good quarterback to me, Pat. He's got a very quick release and puts a lot of zip on the football.
Next in the shotgun, he'll be going to tight end Mark Triplett.
Right. Triplett's a good receiver. I think their wideouts have good speed, and Triplett also has very good speed.
Next, he'll go to his tailback, Elton Akins, who can burn the turf.
This guy can fly. You know, he was one of the leading kickoff returners in the nation last year, and they use him at tail, they use him at slot.
And this, of course, is against Colgate. That what we've been seeing is a sneak by Healy into the end zone for a score. And the cannon goes off, of course.
There you go. I just hope they don't aim it at me.
At the players as well. Army against Dartmouth here. Turner. This is Bill Turner handing up to Kevin McKelvey. And then McKelvey goes off tackle for 9 on the second play.
Right. McKelvey's not a breakaway runner, but a very, very tough runner for inside yardage.
Well, Coach, those are quick scenes, of course, from West Point and what you'll be facing this weekend. Let's look at the season past, season to come for this year. Thus far, 4 games into the year, your overall assessment of the season?
Well, Pat, I have to be blunt. I'm somewhat disappointed. I really felt that our record would be better at this point. However, I'm encouraged. I think our team is improving. I know they're playing a lot more aggressively, and I'm sure that they're going to have a lot more confidence in themselves from this point on.
Looking down, let's give me a quick view.
Well, I'm not going to cite each team, but all I'll tell you is that, we've got 7 football games left, and I think we've got a chance to win all 7.
Well, we wish you much luck this weekend and for the rest of the games this season. Thank you again for being with us here on the program. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you, Pat.
Good luck against Army. Coach Frank Burns, our regular guest here on the Rutgers Sports Review. We have many more guests coming up. We have two outstanding players we'll be chatting with right after this. Back here on the Rutgers Sports Review, and right now we have two outstanding athletes from the Scarlet Knights. Two seniors. We have free safety Bill Houston, who had 6 interceptions last year, 3 against Boston College, got 1 again this year against Boston College, and of course, 1 last year he returned for 94 yards for a touchdown. He's from Easton, Pennsylvania, from Easton High School. He was a tailback in high school. We also have defensive back Carl Howard, a tailback from Irvington High School, who became a defensive back, and last year against Army picked up a block punt, went 12 yards for his first and only collegiate score. Gentlemen, welcome to our program. Nice to have you with us.
Nice to be here.
Carl, you are a tailback in high school. You come back, of course, in college and play defensive ball. And you get your chance last year to get to be a tailback again. How did it feel when you picked up that block punt and went for the score?
Well, it was a deja vu from high school, because I did the same thing in high school one time, and I was very happy to get the block punt. I told right before the game, I said, Joe Corbin, you block the punt. I'll pick it up and run it in.
Oh, you're not only deja vu, but you're prophetic as well. Tailback to defensive back, that happens to a lot of players. There's certainly a different feeling that occurs there. When you have the ball, you're running, you have a certain kind of a command. When you're the defensive back, then you're pursuing and you have that desire perhaps to hit. Which do you prefer to play?
I'd rather play defensive back because in college ball, it's better to hit someone than
to be hit.
Right.
And how about you? You had the same situation occur to you, Billy.
Well, I definitely like defense better because even in practice, college backs get hit hard, and there's no glory in practice, and I see the scout team hitting those guys every day, and it's for real.
And yet, in high school, I think when you first started going out, I'm sure you wanted to be a ball carrier, quarterback or halfback, things like that.
Oh, yes, that's true. But then again, in high school, I didn't really know much about the college game. It's a lot different, a lot more intensity, and the game's a lot faster. And then, you have to be faster as a running back, so you don't get hurt as often.
How about the game against Penn State? How do you feel overall?
Oh, I feel very good. I feel as though the team played very well, and we proved to ourselves and to our fans that, hey, we're for real, and we're not going to come out and lay down for anybody.
Carl, your view of last week's game?
Well, Penn State, they're a very good team, and I feel we should have beat them. We went in there with the attitude that we can beat them this year instead of last year. And we were into, this is a #1 team in the nation thing. So we came out there with the attitude we can beat them with no problem, but we lost.
Well, that's a tough situation, but it was an exciting ball game. Do you think the injury to Rusty might have been a key factor, a catalyst in stopping the momentum?
Yes, that was a breaking point right there because of, I think it was 4 minutes left in the game, and Rusty got hurt, and Jack LaPrairie came into the game very cold. He didn't know if Rusty was going to get hurt, so he came in there cold, and he tried very hard to lead the drive, but it didn't work.
We're going to take a look at the highlights of the Penn State game right now, and we have several areas of defensive strategy that's taking place in the highlights that we have. We have Tony Mumford right here, hit by you, Billy, with Bob Dumont, Joe Corbin, and Bill Beshner in the first play there at the goal line. And we're going to see a replay on that right there. What was your defensive lineup?
Well, I was playing like a linebacker on that. I think I have to give a lot of credit to the defensive line because they really stood up their offensive line.
Jim Dumont stops Mumford here. Very quick, gets in. How did he get in, basically? Who helped get him in there?
Well, that's just pure athletic ability on Jim Dumont's behalf. He's a heck of an athlete, and he showed it right there.
Now we have a 4th and 1 at the 5, and again, Strang trying a quarterback sneak. You're in there stopping him along with Bob Dumont, and we'll see a replay on that. Tell us your activity there.
Well, I was just going, blitzing, from the beginning of the ball, and I felt as though we stopped him.
On the next play, we have Jim Dumont stopping DJ Dozier, going in almost a replay of the game of the play we had a few moments ago, and we're going to see a replay on this in slow-mo. Now, a play coming up now will include the two of you. Carl, you're going to slow down Dozier, and then Billy, you're going to stop him right here. Is that teamwork?
Yes, he wanted to run up the weak side, but it didn't happen.
Okay, and we have Clyde Woodley putting a lot of pressure on Strang, and of course, because of the pressure, Jim Dumont intercepts and gets the ball back to Rutgers. Here's a replay on that.
That's why they bring Clyde into the game, put pressure on the quarterback.
He got into it real quick, and of course, Jim wants to be a tailback right there.
All right.
Well, there we have the highlights, of course, of the Penn State game. Coming up, Army. How do you feel about Army, West Point? playing up there?
Well, they're a very tough team. They never give up, no matter how bad you're beating them. They always come at you. And I'm looking forward to a really hard-hitting game.
Carl, Coach mentioned that when you go to a place like West Point, there's an aura there. The academy, they jam the stands with the cadets. Does that put you in awe in any way?
No, to me, that gives me the motivation. It's exciting to have a big crowd out there, and it makes you play a little better.
Makes you charge on no matter who they're screaming for or against.
Might be for me, I don't know.
Very good. Well, they might remember you from last year, and they might be screaming at you.
Right.
Let's take a look at what's going to be in the future for you two gentlemen. Carl, what are your thoughts pertaining to your career? What are you majoring in?
I'm majoring in economics right now, and I have about 3 more courses to complete, and maybe the last one might be in summer school.
What about sports? Have you thought of sports as a career?
Oh, yes. I get letters from professional teams and things like that, but that's not a permanent thing. And there's the USFL, too. There's chances, but you don't count on it.
You're not but you would like to be involved perhaps in pro sports?
Yes, I would love to.
Don't count it down. Don't put it down. You're a good player, and I'm sure they're looking at you. How about you, Billy?
Well, I'm a labor studies major, I don't know what the future's going to bring for me, but hope it's something very positive.
Have you thought pertaining to sports at all?
Oh, yes, I have. Any college football player always thinks towards his line. It's only natural. And if it comes. If not, well, I'm going to move on to other things.
The most important thing, I think, has to be in your mind that you have to think both ways. Sports, if it's there, fine, but you think about the academic factor and a career in something other than sports. Well, sooner or later, even if you are involved in professional sports, you're going to get back into the real-life world, and that's when your economics major and your labor major will certainly be of great assistance to you. I want to wish the two of you a great deal of luck for not only this weekend's game against Army, but for the rest of the season, and certainly in your own personal lives. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Billy Houston and Carl Howard, some fine athletic ability, and of course, 2 excellent gentlemen, our guests here on the program on the Rutgers Sports Review. We'll continue with our program. We'll have some tickets to give away to one of the Rutgers games following this message.
Take the right person, give him the right training, the right opportunity, and what have you got? One more productive, tax-paying citizen and one less person on the unemployment line. If you're an employer with jobs to fill, there's a program that can help you find and train the right men and women for those jobs, and may even help you qualify for tax credits. So if your labor force needs reinforcement, let us show you some new possibilities. Write the National Alliance of Business. Work America. It makes good business sense.
You can't see it. You can't feel it. Yet thousands of men and women are dying from high blood pressure. It strikes without warning in many ways, including stroke, heart attack, and kidney failure. Check your pressure. If you have high blood pressure, stay on your medication, because the silent killer may be stalking you. Don't think just because you feel good, the killer won't strike. High blood pressure, what you don't know about it can kill you.
We're back here on the Rutgers Sports Review, and now let's take a look at what is happening elsewhere on the campus. Soccer is having a phenomenal start this season. The Scarlet Booters are having a dazzling beginning with their defeat over Bucknell. Their record is 6-0. Highlighting this impressive record is their victory over 8th-ranked Fairleigh Dickinson. By the way, goalie Dave Yeager has allowed only 3 goals in the first 6 games, while the entire team has racked up 4 shutouts out of those 6. With this record, the Scarlet Booters are sure to look for their first appearance in the top 20. In volleyball, the Lady Knights have scored their 12th straight win by beating Penn and George Washington University in the Rutgers Volleyball Classic. In an exhibition match before those games, the Scarlet team fought a tough battle, but lost to Hitachi of Japan. Hitachi, by the way, is the 4th-ranked team in the world. The Scarlet Knight lightweight football squad opened their season last weekend at home against the Midshipmen of Navy. The Knights lost in a tough contest and are now looking forward to their first victory at Army this weekend. And now let's take a look and see what our opponents for Rutgers will be doing in their games this weekend.
Hi, I'm Pete Johnson, Executive Vice President of Johnson & Towers Incorporated. As a major supplier to diesel power markets, we send Johnson & Towers generator sets like this all over the world, from Africa to Alaska, to provide efficient, dependable backup power in a wide range of installations. Speaking of backup power, our expansion into overseas markets has called for specialized and knowledgeable banking help. That's exactly what we get from our bank, New Jersey National. Help that has been a very real factor in our recently received an award we're very proud of, the President's E for Export Award. The backup power New Jersey National puts to work for us overseas ranges from setting up foreign credits and processing international collections to handling foreign currency transactions and analyzing possible markets. It demonstrates clearly that not just here at home, but around the world, building New Jersey business anywhere is New Jersey National's business.
We'd like to thank you very much for the wonderful response we've received on the ticket giveaway here on the program, and we're giving more tickets away this week. We'd like to put you in the stands at Giant Stadium for the Tennessee-Rutgers game, October 29th. All you have to do for tickets is to send your name, address, and telephone number to Tickets, Box 427, Piscataway, New Jersey, 08854. The deadline is October 14th. Winners will be selected at random. Send your name in right now. Your name, address, and telephone number to Tickets, Box 427, Piscataway, New Jersey, 08854. Game time is 1:30. That's in Giant Stadium, October 29th. The tickets will be sent to you in the mail. And that's it for our program this week. Thank you very much.